This is Roundup Dual Action. This stuff doesn't just kill existing weeds down to the root. It keeps them up to 4 months, from the first days of spring to the first day of July. From summer beach days to pumpkin spice lattes. From sweltering days to sweater days. Roundup Dual Action kills existing weeds and keeps on working for up to 4 months. That's 120 days of days. Guaranteed your money back. Roundup Dual.
What's going on, everybody? John here with you. It's a Saturday, June 14th, 2025. How's everybody doing out there today? It's a 2-2 series tie as we head into Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. For Paul Maurice's squad in the Florida Panthers, it's Alex Barkov, Carter Verhaeghe, Sam Reinhart, Gustav Forsling, and Aaron Ekblad. Sam Bennett, Evan Rodriguez, Matthew Tkachuk, Nico Mikkola, and Seth Jones. And Tom Lundell, Eetu Luostarinen, Brad Marchand, Tomas Nosek, AJ Greer, Jonah Gadjevich, with Nate Schmidt, and Dmitry Kulikov. Let me get Alec Nava in here right now. Sergei Bobrovsky will be the goaltender of record. And for the Edmonton Oilers, head coached by Chris Knoblauch, it sounds like this: Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor Brown, Matthias Ekholm, and Jake Wallman. Leon Draisaitl, Vasily Podkolzin, Corey Perry, Darnell Nurse, and Troy Stetcher. Adam Henrique, Jeff Skinner, Trent Frederick, Matthias Janmark, Evander Kane, and Victor Arvidsson, with Brett Kulak and Evan Bouchard. Calvin Pickard will be the goaltender of record in Game 5, and he may very well be the goaltender of record for the rest of the Stanley Cup Finals. Alec, it's good to have you once again on a Saturday. Nothing will be decided today, but it'll be another one of those pivotal swing games. This time we go back to Rogers Place. How do you see it?
It's been a seesaw back and forth where no lead is safe, and this finals is a personification of such. The Oilers are 12-5 all-time in best-of-7 series was tied 2-2, including 5-1 when they're starting at home. So when they're win innings as such, the Panthers 5-2 in the same situation, 4-0 when starting on the road. That included the second round against Toronto. Bill, we're looking at it as if, well, for one, the Panthers, they are, of course, we know them as the most mentally tough team in the league, but they have to overcome that tough Game 4 loss. Many other teams would mentally break from such a defeat, but this Panthers team is vigilant. They are ready. They are prepared for any scenario. The Oilers, of course, they had that ferocious comeback in Game 4, but what I want to emphasize for them are 2 points if they were to take the series lead tonight. One, less penalties. The high-sticking penalties need to stop because they've had a habit of doing such. They bumped Evander Kane to the 4th line because he's having a rough series so far with penalty after penalty. He is a complete tier 4 player, but his stats in the finals have been nothing to write home about. Secondly, a faster start would do wonders. In the last 3 games, Edmonton has allowed the first goal of the game. Sure, they won Game 4, but they ideally, if you're the Oilers, you'd want to have a much better start in the first period.
You think they're going to take advantage of home ice tonight? I certainly agree with you, Alec, on the side of it. And I believe, as we said in our ending of Game 4, that Edmonton was going to take this one today. Again, we're about a few minutes away from the puck drop. That's still what we believe. Again, 3 of the 4 games have reached overtime or more. Again, I'll just go through this really quickly. Game 1, 4-3 in overtime for Edmonton. Florida then bounces back in double overtime, wins 5-4. Yes, we had the 6-1 fight night where the Cats pretty much outquad the Oilers big time, 6-1. But then after that, again, it was back to business as usual in close games. Edmonton won 5-4. And quite honestly, for Game 4, it's probably the easiest one to recap between two because think about it, it's a tale of 2 periods. Tkachuk scores twice, and Lundell in the first for the Cats. They have a comfortable 3-0 lead until they don't. And now the TNT side of the camera is having some issues on there. I've never seen that screen before. Edmonton ties the game 3-3 after 2 periods. It's RNH Nurse and Podkolzin, Jake Wallman. And the third actually gets the go-ahead goal on a wide-open 1T. It's 4-3, 4 unanswered goals for Edmonton before Sam Reinhart responds with 20 seconds left. It was Sam Bennett essentially being snake-bitten 3 times. A ridiculous save from Calvin Pickard, who comes in, does an amazing job out of relief. 22 of 23, bounces off of his glove, the top of the post and out. couple passes go between his legs. But as we said in this open in the pregame, Pickard and Skinner, it could have been 7-0 essentially after the opening period for the Cats. If not for Stuart Skinner, he gets pulled in the first, giving up 3. But for Calvin Pickard, 8 games played, 7-0-0 in this postseason, 269, 896. It's his net now, and I think it's going to be his net for the rest of the series.
Leon Draisaitl, he's playing like he wants the Stanley Cup. In his last 10 games, 6 goals, 17 points in total. So if Edmonton comes out on top in this series, realistically, we could see not only the Oilers winning this in the Stanley Cup, hoisting it, but also we may be thinking about Draisaitl winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. He's been on a heater. If you remember from last year, he was not visible at all on the ice, even if we saw him out there, just 3 assists.
Right.
But then again, he was dealing with some injuries here and there, which may affect his play. But this year, he's much healthier, and he's on a rampage. He has 4 goals in the finals, 2 of them being overtime winners. This is the first time that we saw him having multiple overtime winners in a long time. The record for most overtime winners in the final, you got to look back at the Rocket, Maurice Richard.
And the last time we saw a team come back from a 3-0 deficit in the Cup final was the Montreal Canadiens against the Seattle Metropolitans in 1918. That's what happened in the last game for the Edmonton Oilers. Made sure to throw that in the story. In fact, when I went out with that recent trip not too long ago with Cooper in Seattle, I saw where they had all the Metropolitan stuff, which was pretty cool. And as Alec had mentioned, it was the Conn Smythe last year for Connor McDavid in the loss. This time it could be a Conn Smythe for his teammate Leon Draisaitl in a Stanley Cup win. That would not come to a surprise at all.
No, what if the Florida were to come out on top? I was Brad Marchand on those Stanley Cup Conn Smythe Trophy combos for the Panthers. They were to win this one, but they had to overcome something. We don't know about Game 4, but personally, this may be on a personal note, but I'd rather get blown out in a finals game than lose a tight game, especially one in which you have a multi-goal lead.
Yeah, like because there's something to that, as we said when Cooper was with us a couple of games ago about what means in one game and a loss. But these two teams, with the exception of the 6-1 as you talk about Game 3, have taken gut-wrenching losses. And as we've seen between the duo of teams, I don't think there's 2 better teams in the NHL over the last couple of years. We know that for a fact now. But these two are also the best when it comes to rebounding from a loss and putting the past behind them.
Yes, and we know the Panthers, they've been on a tear ever since that second round. The Oilers similarly on a tear ever since the first round. They both overcame 2-0 series deficits, so they're both battle-tested, and they put the past behind them. Paul Maurice and Chris Knobloch, they have opposing demeanors. Maurice is more vocal, Knobloch is more calm.
Yeah, that's what you have to have. I think if you're Knobloch, you know that your best players need to play like your best players. And he said that in Game 4. That was the reason why they won. And then one other note for Chris Knobloch also said that Sam Bennett's high-sticking penalty was the thing that opened the door for the belief system for the Edmonton Oilers to come out and win. He also mentioned one other quote when it comes to Calvin Pickard. He's earned everything. I haven't given it to him. And now it's his opportunity to try to guide us through to win a Stanley Cup. So those are pretty stern words from a pretty good coach on the Edmonton Oilers side. As we get through the anthems here today, Alec, why don't you lead us off, and I'll get set to back you up from the second period and have you close today.
That sounds fair.
So as we go through the anthems right now, on the Canadian side of it, everybody is going to be feeling as good as they possibly can at Rogers Place, and how can you not, especially after that big comeback. Alec and I were on the record from the finale of Game 4 that it's going to be home team wins the rest of the way. Are we still feeling that way?
That's how I still feel it. Home team wins the rest of the way.
That will push us, if that happens, all the way to a Game 7 on Friday. No matter what, we have a Game 6 for you on Tuesday. Again, all of these still about 8:10 on the air. About 8:20 puck drops is what we're going to have again. So we're looking forward to that. We also have a 2-2 series tie in between the Pacers and the Thunder. So everywhere you look, everything is tight and tense. Getting some camera shots now before I hand it off to Alec Nava. Calvin Pickard getting warm up in the goal crease. I wonder if he's feeling any butterflies, but he's been a backup goalie. He's been everywhere. And you know what? Honestly, I think you have to have the confidence behind him because he's earned it.
And he has earned his confidence and he has earned his crease. His first start since Game 2 against Vegas, that was the game in which he got injured. He's since recovered from that injury and battled back for a crease. He's the fourth goalie in Oilers history of a 7-game win streak in the postseason. The sixth goalie in NHL history to win a Stanley Cup final game in relief. The Oilers looking to become the first team since the 1984 Oilers to win a finals with starting two different goaltenders, Grant Fuhrer and Andy Moog.
Wonder what kind of game we'll see on the other end for Sergei Bobrovsky. Who's got more pressure on him? We'll find out. You take it away.
And immediately, as this is dumped deep, the Bobrovsky plays one out towards the far corner. Game 5, and the finals has seen 5 lead changes, 12 go-ahead goals, 8 tying goals, and 3 overtimes. Rodriguez banks it off the side of the cage. The Panthers press early. It is Sam Bennett. Most road goals in a single Stanley Cup playoff run in NHL history. The Oilers poking ahead. Ahead of Sam is Connor Brown. Brown fires. It's caught by Officer Bob. So both teams firing early.
A partial break, 31 seconds in from Connor Brown. RNH will watch the puck go wide to the right side wing. And it looks like this group of the Cats get caught flat-footed here, Alec, early.
And if you're the Panthers, you do not want that to be flat-footed behind this Oilers team. Yes, the Panthers, they can roll all 4 lines. But the Oilers, they have wheels. And they can play both styles of hockey, east-west and north-south. Certain lines are built for east-west, certain lines are built for north-south. Barkov gets it out. It's picked up by Jake Wallman for Matthias Ekholm. Sends it off the near side. Bobrovsky will slow this one down for Aaron Ekblad. There's a new development on the Ekblad front in free agency. We'll get to that once we get to a break. Up the near side, Forsling sends it in for Barkov. He loses a tire. It's collected up by Wallman at that far corner. Sent out as the Panthers will play this one back. Oilers calling for the icing, but no can do. Wallman plays it away from Reinhart up to an open Corey Perry. Up the far side was deflected up. It'll be touched by Henrique and Jeff Skinner. Playing in his second career Stanley Cup final game. His line almost had the overtime winner 2 nights ago. Barkov sends it in. Darnell Nurse ahead of Brad Marchand. Right behind the net, it is Bouchard. Evan Bouchard up the far side. Now being controlled by Marchand as he brings it back inside. It's actually Stetcher, not Bouchard. Across the corners, it'll be picked up by Nurse. Nurse for Stetcher. Stetcher moves it up the far side. The Oilers getting out of their own zone. Dmitry Kulikov was on the puck. The Oilers get it all the way down. And it's iced as one Panther was ahead of the blue line before the puck was sent all the way down.
So what was the note that you had on Ekblad? I haven't heard.
No, the Panthers, David, the Panthers are offering him a contract that's less than his current cap hit, and Ekblad is the big free agent on the defenseman side. The maximum offer for Ekblad from the Panthers, around the $6 million range.
Yeah, and I'm guessing he's going to want closer to 7.5, 8 at least. That's going to be a hard number to match.
It is, as Jones gets hurried up by Jeff Skinner. Jones moves it up through the far side, or rather the near side, where Hagee gets tied up. Too many Oilers on the passing lane, and it's broken up by McDavid. Sent all the way down for Mikkola, aside for Jones. Back to Mikkola. Mikkola moves it up near side, the pass cut off, and the Oilers going to take this one back. They'll be settled by the Panthers. Jones up the far boards. Decker will let this one go towards the far corner. Settled down by Edmonton across the ice. They'll be held inside the left point by Jonah Gadjevich. For Hagee, sharp angle shot to go all the way to rebound. That's kept out by Pickard. We collected up by Connor Brown. Here's a 2-on-1. And it's McDavid. McDavid, he shoots. Can't duck in the rebound as he was behind the net. And the Panthers will go back the other way. A partial break and a 2-on-1. A flat-footed start for the Panthers here in Game 5. But that may be the nerves that may be catching up to them right after the Game 4 defeat. But they had to bounce back in a hurry. Up the far side, sent along from the Oilers. Chipped up as it was Skinner who had it but lost it. Nate Schmidt wants to clear it out. And it'll be handled by Florida. Greer. Over up front for Schmidt. Was it sent out behind the red line? Yes, it was. The Panthers get to it first. but there was a slip-up and Edmonton will control. 3:10 gone in the opening session. Alec Nava, John up, and Vander Kane's out there. Scoring chances 2-0 Oilers, and they've been the better team to start off this opening frame. Stetzer is bumped at the near corner. He played all 4:10 in game 4. He did not play after a 14-second shift in the second period. Bigla running it by out to the far side. Deflected away from Rodriguez and up onto the Oiler bench.
Well, the shots are just 1-1, but again, it was a break and then a 2-on-1 developing as Connor McDavid was trying to race us across the right side wing. We just spoke of Aaron Ekblad. This puck goes off the outside of the mesh. After the rebound, McDavid just trying to corral with the stick, skating a little bit too fast. Otherwise, it would have been 1-0.
17 points in the Stanley Cup Finals, 6 assists, 17 shots in this series. He's yet to score a goal. That would have been a nice one there on the 2-on-1 rush. The Panthers on the zone, poked away, but is kept at the far corner. Kachuk and Jones shut down will be taken up by Ekholm. Trent Frederick has yet to score here in the Stanley Cup Final. Paul Bissonnette has him scoring. Adam Henrique and Frederick were both offside, though.
Lots of speed that we're noticing. I mentioned that quite a bit in Game 4. We're seeing it in the Game 5. The Edmonton Oilers starting to look like their regular season selves into this Stanley Cup Final now, playing with speed, entries, not giving a you-know-what, going the other way of the ice. That's got to be a little bit scary if you remember the Florida Panthers with as much experience as they even have.
We do remember Games 4 through 7 for Chris Malwalk and company, the Oilers being 19-2. So there might be some reasonable worry for the Panthers to start this one because the Oilers are finding their rhythm. For the near side, Marchand. Marchand gets this fly across the red line. It's a partial 2-on-2. Marchand fires. And this might be blocked, kept him out of play.
That's a pretty good pass attempt. The bank was open. That was to Marchand himself as he found an entry across the left side wing, banks it across the boards, and then gets a good shot that's going to force the play the other way. We get a stoppage at 16 minutes.
It's been 14 years since he last won a Stanley Cup. Of course, he wants to get that second cup to add to his trophy case. He's 6 years removed from a 100-point season with the Boston Bruins. And while he's far from that self, he's still as good as he can come by. That pass towards the far side, the swap pass. Didn't go there. Marchand tried to keep it. Jake Wallman howdy him. This puck is loose. Sharp angle shot. The rebound came out to the Oilers, but kept them by the catch. Bouncing puck off a shot block. Looks to read and can't handle it. The Oilers grab it up. Held in by Forsling. Down low for Lundell. Comes down to the far half course. The Oilers get it out. Perry wants to set it in for a breakout pass. Can't do so. Two Panthers there. Turned over to Marchand. Marchand can't be slowed down by Perry. Marchand tried to set it towards the slot. He'll hold it. Back towards the left point. As Forsling blocks. Shot is blocked in front and is cleared out. Forsling swept it on a sweeping keep-in attempt, but it's all the way out. Forsling fires it in. It'll be collected on the far side by Brett Kulak, who's seen both sides of the battle of Alberta. Bouchard held up by Smith for a shot, and it's blocked in front. Might have touched Deckard. Connor Brown sets it up. Foot race for the puck. It'll be grabbed by Sergei Bobrovsky as the Oilers apply the pressure. Look inside. Connor crash at the goal. Bobrovsky down. Somehow it's kept out. Bouchard fires. And a big block at the right point. My goodness, so far, we don't have any goals, and yet everything is happening here to start off Game 5. This has been cinema. 32 goals, 1 goal team. The motion. Irish and Blue Stars. While the Panthers take it down, the Oilers will grab this one up. We stay 5-on-5. 2-on-2 rush chance for McDavid out there. Gets canceled out by Barkov. Puck is still free. The Panthers grab it. Up through the middle, it is Barkov. Has yet to record a .5-on-5. Around the ice side, and his sharp angle shot is turned away by Deckard.
Well, hopefully we get those camera shots really quickly. The play goes the other way. Bobrovsky tries to play to the left side red line, bounces off of one of the Panthers. Allows an opportunity for Brown right at the net. Nosek trying to help out his goaltender who got knocked down, but this is just shoved right in front of the goal mouth. Bobrovsky has to stand tall. Actually does the splits, Alec. It doesn't even know that the puck is stuck in between the 5 holes. Somehow stays out, though.
And Jonah Gadjevich is a little shaken up after taking a shot block to his skate, too, John.
Yeah, you got hit by Evan Bouchard there, man. 63 hits and 10 blocks already for Gadjevich throughout.
And this year's finals alone, excellent replacement on that fourth line to go for the departed Steven Lorentz, who's now in Toronto. Schmidt trying to hold it. The Panthers hunting this puck for showing the Oilers. It'll be grabbed by Erod. Up the far side, Bennett. The what did this one out? We'll get a face out outside zone.
So I wonder how we're both looking at this game right now. It's 3-2 on the shop over 14:03 in the first as Bobrovsky continues to get serenaded by the crowd. But I'm loving the speed. And as you said, no goals just yet, but it seems like everything, you're right, is happening in this game. That's the way it's been throughout this series. It's always been high event.
The way this game is looking, John, it feels like the Oilers are trying to score the first goal. Don't be surprised, though, even for the Panthers scoring the first goal of the game in the last three instances. Baker will play this one at the trapezoid, towards the far corner, and settle on for Bouchard on a touch pass from Kolak. Back behind, is batted up toward the penalty box doors. Grabbed by Yanmark, on for Bouchard. Bouchard, touch pass up the middle, is settled down by Florida. Had to go over 2,500 miles coast to coast to get here. All has been 2 nights. Settled down inside. His picker replacement outside the trapezoid. Behind the net, hit for Stetcher. Picker's back on the crease. Rodriguez pucks out down the far corner and taken up by Edmonton. With Kane leading the way, a partial 3-on-2. Gets towards the left side. Collected the far corner by Nurse. Kane trying to hunt down the puck. Nurse trying to escape it. Kane is dispossessed of the puck. Bennett wants to sell this one out. And it's out of play with 13:11 to go.
I think it was about 5 minutes, 10 seconds of TOI for Troy Stetcher, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, as we get a chance to get a break. He was benched admittedly on the last side, and for Chris Knobloch, look, if this game goes into OT again, I don't think you can afford to do that, so I would expect Stetcher to play a lot more minutes and keep that time on ice for the defenseman a little more even this time around.
Yeah, because Stetcher, he was utilized as a stopgap in Game 4, admittedly. And Knobloch wanted to play the same 5 defensemen because he knows those are his best defensemen. So it's not a Jim Hiller situation where he's just limiting to essentially 4 defensemen because Brent Clark was sparingly used from time to time in that Game 4 against Edmonton. It's completely the opposite of what Jim Hiller did because Knobloch knows those are his best guys. And those guys, he's utilizing, he trusts them to deliver in the big games. And they delivered. Ekholm, Wallen, Bouchard, Nurse, Kolak.
Yeah, they really had, and they responded from some of them at least. I didn't think they had a very good Game 3. They came back and everybody played to the vest in Game 4. And as you said, we talked about this in the postgame last time out, the Oilers took care of their business. They didn't rely on any of the extracurricular. They just came out and played hockey. And they're trying to win this game. And you mentioned it right earlier in your play-by-play. It looks like the Edmonton Oilers are going for that first goal, as you mentioned. It looks like they're going for the kill shot, trying to get this done as early as possible and at least try to take control of the game right away.
At the very least, and even though the shots are pretty much evenly balanced between them, it's been mostly an Edmonton-controlled game, John.
Yes, it has so far. Again, as you mentioned, the shots aren't all that much at 2-2, aside the same with the hits. Faceoffs are 5-3 Cats, but the north-south play so far has been advantage of Edmonton. They've already had a 2-on-1 and a breakaway chance.
And they blocked 28 shots in that Game 4. So you see Zach Hyman on the Jumbotron and doing for Hyman signs here in Edmonton. Of course, the same names popping up for who the Oilers are doing this for. Hyman, Ben Stelter, Kobe Kane, and Joey Moss. Panthers cleared out off the faceoff. Hyman out for the rest of the playoffs with wrist surgery, but the depth players have been filling in admirably. Bobrovsky plays this one in some trouble, and it'll be played by the Oilers to keep it in. Along the near corner, set up pass where Henry missed. And it'll be Frederick keeping this one around. On the side of the net, this one intended to be kept out by the Panthers, but held by Ekholm. Ekholm takes the blast, delivers to Wallen. Back for Ekholm, and it's skipped over Bobrovsky. Grabbed by Luce to read it. Up the near side. Marchand had to be made a check. Lundell goes back for Marchand. 2-on-2. Marchand fires, and it's caught by Pickard. He'll hang on to it for dear life.
I know it's early in this game right now at 12:33 as we're still scoreless, Alec, but I'll be honest with you. Number 63 for the Cats and Brad Marchand, he's been their best player by a lot. I felt like we called his name 5 or 6 times. He's able to make entries for himself. This time gets a walk-in chance between the slot. Good save for Pickard there as he gets it in between the trapper, but I think he's been their best player by far.
I know it's been a recurring theme, but the Florida's best players so far in this series have been Marchand and Sam Bennett.
Yeah.
It's a recurring theme.
Yes, it has. It's no surprise. They're the bus drivers right now, and these teams are trying to figure out a way to solve this 2-2 series tie. Game 5 is going to be fundamentally important.
It is, and historically the advantage would go to the winner. Off the faceoff, it gets deflected away from the Panthers even though they won the faceoff. Sent back towards the point is kept out by Edmonton. The Panthers will fire it around the near boards. Go to the far side, and is batted up. Bouchard swung and missed on it, chased by Barkov. Barkov has yet to find a point sheet at 5-on-5, even though he's had 2 assists on the power play in Game 4. Kulak, galloping Barkov up the far corner, settled down to right point. To Reinhardt. Reinhardt, deep shot, deflected, but it's wide. Will be collected by Verhage up the near half boards. Barkov sent this one out to the far side. It is Ekblad around towards the near side. Schmidt there. Brown 2. Connor Brown wanted to send this one out. Bouchard gets it. Kulak up the far boards. This will be settled down by Ekblad. Washington tight. Gets it up for Barkov, who re-enters. Barkov with Kulak watching him. Kulak drives it behind the nets. Reinhardt trying to help him at bay. Bouchard and McDavid both there. Comes back for Kulak. Poked away by Verhage. McDavid hounding him. And it's McDavid taking it up. Connor Brown swooping in. He'll dump this out the near half boards. Not far enough for icing. It's grabbed by Nico Mikla, the ex-St. Louis Blue. Through the far half boards. Near the Panther bench, the Oilers take it back up. Half passes here. Matisse Ekholm moves it up. This bounces towards Bobrovsky, who can't handle it. They'll be grabbed by Corey Perry. Deep one-timer, deflected wide, and swept away by the Cats. Up the near half boards, Rodriguez. Delayed offside here. All the Oilers have to get out of it, and eventually the whistle blows for the offside.
Chances are coming fast and furious. Yes, they hit the glass a couple times. As Corey Perry gets a chance to pick this up, throw back at the point, another big rebound. Sam Bennett there to clean up the mess in front of the crease. It's the second time already in between Bennett and Forsling had to make goal-saving plays.
Perry and Vasily Podkolzin were on the 4th line at starting Game 4. They both were bumped up to the 2nd line to end Game 4 with Leon Draisaitl as their center. So far, the move is paying off as Perry and Podkolzin came up huge on Draisaitl's game winner 2 nights ago. Fired in, and this is going to be up under the mesh.
You mentioned Jonah Gadrich about 5 minutes ago taking the shot block off the instep from Bouchard. We're seeing him on the bench, but he's still in a little bit of pain. He was going to fight through it.
Defensive-minded player and a grinder. That's who he is known for, and someone that's well-liked by Paul Maurice and company. He used to play for the San Jose Sharks on the 4th line, and the Panthers scouts liked what they saw from him. Off the face-up, it is won by Florida. Marchand splits it against Marchand. Top Shelby scores! 4th straight game where the Cats score first, and it's the Rat King.
We said it so many times throughout this broadcast already. This is a center ice draw. And right off the top from Lindell as he gets the push, it's Marchand breaking through everybody. This is a beautiful camera shot from TNT. Blows past Ekholm and Roof Daddy toward the top right of the post and in. My goodness, what a shot.
The old Sidney Crosby play where you kind of cheat off the face-off
Yes.
and jump the face-off win.
I love when the forwards do that, Alec. You got to have confidence. You got to be able to try to surprise everybody as soon as that puck is dropped and see if you can make something happen. That's a huge goal for Florida. They got to maintain it, though.
Yeah, because the Oilers have made 8 comeback victories in this postseason, and that's the most by a long shot. Bennett, he tried to dangle by, but he gets canceled out. The Oilers have known to play from behind before. Can they play from in front, though? This puck bounces up, and it's cleared away by the Cats. Good defensive effort. He's a set player with 5+ goals and multiple Stanley Cup finals. There's a heavy check over the far out boards. The Oilers at their own zone wanting to clear this one out. Grabbed by Gadjevich, who's back on the ice after taking a huge shot block. Gadjevich tried to center it. Bennett was in the way. Up the far side, it'll be collected by Gustav Forsling and fired deep. And, Troy Stetcher got pounded by Bennett. We stay 5-on-5 as there's no arm up in the air. Bennett's won a penalty, and they're upset about it. Gadjevich waiting as Nurse sees the line changes coming. Darno Nurse will send this one up through the far side, and this one missed by a country mile with Dicey.
That's not a good play there by Nurse. I know they want to get a quick response the other way, and the crowd might be up in arms, but don't let the situation get the best of you. Just continue your breakouts because now you give the Cats an offensive zone opportunity as we get another look at that goal. Honestly, you can't look at it enough. Brad Marchand protects the puck on the backhand and then roofs it top right corner.
One of the smartest players in the game, and of course he knows this is the finals. That championship experience does help on a team that just recently came up the Stanley Cup. Barkov lifts it, goes back for Mikla. Curling drag over to Jones. Jones' shot is smothered by Pickard. 12 career goals in the Stanley Cup final for the Rat King.
We're going to go to break right now as everyone that has the watch party in Amerant Bank Arena is feeling good. Again, you got to win this game if you're the Florida Panthers and respond back from what happened a few days ago. And on the other side, if you're the Oilers, you win this game, I think you feel pretty confident as well to lift the Stanley Cup. Whoever takes this game 5, they could take it to the bank. We might not need game 7, although Alec and I believe that to be the case. But as we said, swing games like this, especially 2-on-2, is important. But the Panthers and the Oilers, I hope this series doesn't end anytime soon.
I hope not. We want more games out of this because this has been excellent to every sense of the word. Of course, I mentioned 2013 after Game 4, what the Oilers could look to for the Panthers for potentially 1999 if the for best case scenario. Well, minus the controversy at the end of it.
Yeah, there was some of that as well in 99. So we'll continue to follow this game along. 1-0 is the scoreline for the Cats. Brad Marchand, the only one. Let's just take a look and see who got the apple on that side. I would imagine we're not going to give it to anybody. Anton Lundell, a little bit of a tie. If he just breaks through and beats everybody, that's his 9th. Pickard, 4 of 5. Sergei Bobrovsky, 3 of 3. But I agree with Alec. Most of the action has been in and around his net. It's been a couple of clear savers from Gustav Forsling and Sam Bennett. This has not been a bad period for the Oilers so far. If they can continue this, I imagine they can tie it up as early as the first 20 minutes.
And that's how much of a seesaw it has been. The Oilers, they need to emphasize on preventing breakouts because they're having trouble defending the breakout, and Brad Marchand is eating them alive and such.
I agree with you, Alec, and I would say the same for both teams. You got to be careful of that speed and make sure your forwards also help out your back checkers and your defensemen, because if you get beat, that's enough to give up a goal automatically, even if you got people like Pickard and Bobrovsky.
Up the far side will be controlled by Ekblad as it gets bounced up at the Panthers zone. They clear this one out. Still in the Panthers zone is Forsling settles this one down, aside for Ekblad. To Forsling. We don't know if Ekblad's going to go elsewhere in free agency, but we imagine that's going to intensify as Barkov. He's going to legs, and it comes behind the net. As Echo was there, another try. Barkov, oh, goodness, he gets leveled by Echo. What a big hit as the Oilers take up on the outside. Puck bounces at the far corner. Forcing there to shut it down, and the Panthers will take it back up. Frederic's on it, though. The Panthers still control. Through the near side. And up the middle, through the far side, will be grabbed by Lundell. Lundell, McDavid on him, Kulak too. Lundell trying to free it up. The puck over the far corner for Luke Serena. Marchand's got one. He wants another. Broken up. Marchand able to control. Marchand a high shot that's blocked off a stick. And Bouchard, he went down. No penalty. No penalty. As I thought there was a trip. It'll be the Oilers in control. A chance to strike back here. Marshall 3-on-2 is Brown. Can't send it in. Now he does at the near corner. Jones able to beat out McDavid towards the puck as they both battle for this loose puck, along with all players else. It'll be grabbed by Sam Bennett. Another Oiler gets knocked down. 3-on-2 here as Bennett controlling. Across for Marchand. He waits. He fires. That's save. Decker. The Oilers go back. Up the near side, Connor Brown. 3-on-2 here is McDavid. He'll look at the left side. Knocked away by Kulikov as that deep shot's blocked down the stick. It's back and forth actually as the Panthers. They're getting all the energy ever since that Marchand goal. Near side is Kachuk. Matthew Kachuk has this one bouncing up towards the far outboards, and the Oilers wanting to counter again. A lot of defense here by the Panthers, and the Oilers wanting to push the pace. As Nosek, who got tangled up, able to stay upright. Baker playing this one out towards the far corner. Nurse shoved away by Nosek, and the fourth line will control the action. Victor Arvidsson substituting in for Kasperi Kapanen in Game 5 as Kane's pursuing it. This puck play on the stick.
That last play there, that was a good pass from Bennett to the right side dot. They tried to find loose Serenen back door. That would have been gross. Marchand had the right idea. Bounces off his stick blade. Otherwise, he would have been able to tuck that in back into a gaping net, Alec.
There was nothing that Baker could do from there. That was a gorgeous feed to Luke Serena, who had that on a silver platter, between the legs of Matthias Ekholm. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, you kind of wonder if that's going to instill more confidence in Barkov. You're still waiting for his breakout other than the power play. See him go between the legs in an important game like this, maybe he's still got the confidence.
He's yet this breakout at 5-on-5. The Panthers, you believe they have the advantage at 5-on-5. Loose puck at the left circle. Reinhardt there, Wallman 2. Barkov backhands it back for Forsley. Forsley returns for Barkov. Centering pass, and Reinhardt, another missed shot. That's twice now. First was Luke Serenen, and now it's Sam Reinhardt. So the lack of finishing continues by as the Panthers come back with Barkov. Barkov wants it as Reinhardt airmails the shot. Held in at the right point by Nikla. Backhand is around for DeBoer. Reinhardt gets tangled up for Hagee. Can't save Pickard. The rebound comes down for the Oilers. Would he be able to set something up? Here's a 3-on-2 across the line. This is a setup right in front. Score! No! It hit the outside of the cage. I thought the puck went in, but all it did was hit the outside of the cage. So my mistake, everyone. We stay 1-0 Panthers. Except Jones gets spun around. Jones at the near corner. McDavid can't play this one. It goes to Greer. And Schmidt was outside the zone. I thought it was in the zone. I thought it was a goal. But man, it's in some angles maybe very deceiving as such. From the near side, Schmidt sends it up. It went off a stick. Gadjevich up the near side, collected the far corner. Where's Kulak? Brett Kulak around for Bouchard. Evan Bouchard sends it up front. A partially mishandled pass is grabbed by the Oilers by McDavid. Then deep, it'll be Kulikov and McDavid battling for it. Puck was ready to lose in his Greer. Lundell gets his possess up the middle. It'll be the Oilers. Oh, look out! Dmitry Kulikov just did a Vander Kane up and over like a windmill. Holy moly! Panthers come back in as they're looking to go up 2-0, and down goes Anton Lundell off the stick check. Henrique, the arms stay down. Through the far side, one of the Panthers takes down another Oiler. All the heads have been flying around here in Game 5. Blasted around from the near side. Collected the far out Boris by the Cats. Billy Kachuk tried to sweep one towards the slot. There was an Oiler there. Henrique. Cats play this one. Then he played towards the penalty box doors by Florida. And Plateau Bennett. Sam Bennett's flying inside. 3 Oilers there. Bennett still got the shot away. And Frederick collects it. That puck went wide. Cannot be handled by Mikula. And blasted from the near side boards. Ekholm with one of the Panthers pursuing. Evan Rodriguez continuing to chase him down. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has to retreat. Haven't said his name a lot. Jake Wallman's still out there. More line changes coming for the Oilers. And Wallman will fake leave this one for RNH. He'll send this towards the far half boards. Picked up. It'll be collected by Bobrovsky with the Oilers chasing as they stay in the zone. And RNH on his knees. Panthers get back on the back check. Reinhardt. Brown tried to flutter it free. RNH. Penalty coming. The Panthers will go a man down. Seth Jones tangled up his man.
Yeah, he's going to call for a trip. We're going to go to break. We'll try to let you know what happened here off the side of the net. It did. There was a pass across. One of the Panthers over pursuits goes for a hit. That leads to a wide open chance look on the right wing. And the pass deflects, goes in behind the mesh. And all the crowd no friends because they thought the Oilers scored.
Yeah, I thought so too. That seemed to be the tying goal because from some angle you thought the puck was at the back of the net. No, it just hit the side of the cage. That was sort of deceiving.
It was. And again, it all started from a part of a line change where they didn't show the cat who over pursued, but they went for a big hit. And that's what created the opening on the right wing. And you mentioned it just a few moments ago as during your outstanding call. For Kane and Kulikov, Kulikov throws a good old-fashioned hip check on Evander Kane, sends him up and over.
And I know Evander Kane is having himself a rough series. That is one that's got to hurt a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Dmitry Kulikov called his own number. He got a real good piece of cane and absolutely pasted him. I was going to say, and this isn't just because the Panthers are up 1-0. This game has felt pretty even. But Alex, right, over the last probably 6 or 7 minutes or so since that Marchand goal, I do feel like Florida's had the edge in the back half of the first period.
And could that energy continue on for their penalty kill? I know the Oilers, they're torn hot on the power play, but Florida's penalty kill, even for them giving up one, they're not one to give up multiple power play goals.
No, they're not, but they only have 3 shots right now in this first period. I know one of them was a break and a 2-on-1 that got deflected as McDavid was leading the charge. But they're going to need to get some more shots. And as you mentioned, when the Cats take that penalty, it opens up a golden opportunity for the Oilers to just come right back in the game because he tripped, Seth Jones did, Matthias Janmark in behind his own end. And honestly, he really didn't even need to do it. The puck wasn't even around that right side red line.
Yeah, no, it was not even close to that vicinity. He thought it was, but it wasn't even close. So the Oilers do the power play as Jones sits for 2. How much he's going to get in free agency? Thank you for Stan Bennick, had to grab Marchand stay the rest of his career with the Panthers. My side gets stand up off the draw, we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, Tomas Wilson against McDavid. I know it's a penalty killing role, but you would think that the Oilers have the advantage here.
Big here. Your player appearance for Jones. The Panthers trying to clear it out. On the first save, it was a light tap on it. Barry just bounced directly onto Draisaitl. He waits and sends it to Bouchard. Will mishandle it. And a 2-on-2, Bouchard will cancel it out. As Nosek swept it towards the far corner. Nosek continues holding on to it, short-handed. Still with it as McDavid's pursuing. Knocked away. And it'll be Perry. So the first save goes to Florida on special teams. Draisaitl waits. He'll send it for Perry. Corey Perry to Leon Draisaitl going back for Perry. Back in the net. Draisaitl taps it for Bouchard. Bouchard returns it to Draisaitl. Half spin around. Perry behind the crease. Over to RNH. Mishandled as he could not control it, and the Panthers are sent it to distance. Edgar played this off the far side. It'll be grabbed by Bouchard. The usual 5 out there. It'll be RNH, McDavid, Draisaitl, Perry, and Bouchard. Perry going in for Zach Hyman. McDavid, he fires blocked. And the Panthers will clear this one down the distance. So the Oilers already expending a lot of their energy getting set up on this power play. A shot attempt that was blocked. Bouchard winning his time out. He'll just fire on the far side with Mikla pursuing. Kulikov first to it, trying to get this one out. A bump, and it'll be grabbed by Bouchard. The Panthers still change units. Lusterina's moving in short-handed. Lusterina trying to get set up. He spins. Lusterina moves by Perry. It's bounced up. And it's grabbed up by Bouchard. As the second unit is starting to get set. 25 on the man advantage. Jake Wallman leads the second unit. Around this one goes. Never really had full control of it, trying to make a move. The puck is green with Picker. Picks it up away from Marchand. And he'll hold on.
I know I'm about to make a joke here, but I thought the Edmonton Oilers are on a power play. What the hell are they doing?
I wonder, because this is supposed to be a man advantage for them. This first period, ever since that first half, it's been all downhill.
Tomas Nosek and E2 Lusterine and Alec essentially killed about 1:05 of this 2 minutes already, and now they forced an ozone draw.
And for the Panthers, nonetheless, and as this is won by Florida, they'll send this around the far side. Ekholm will grab it with Barkov in the vicinity. Ekholm gets it off in time for Wallman with 6, with 5. Wallman waits around the near side. As this is deflected away, that'll get Jones out the box. The Oilers trying to get settled inside, but can't. Fighter on the far boards. Onto the near side will be picked up by the Cats. Away from Wallman. It'll be settled down by Matthias Janmark. With 2:02 to go. Of course, Florida knows how to bounce back from adversity. Sam Bennett sends one across over to Matthew Tkachuk. He waits. Tkachuk fires, blocked. The rebound, score! Sam Bennett strikes again on the road. It's 2-0.
I think Sam Bennett got a little bit fortunate there, but he created his own luck because he kept his feet moving. Tkachuk's going to go ahead and get this beautiful lofted pass from Bennett that flips ice. The shot initially gets blocked, bounces off the skate of Wallman, and then Bennett's able to lock and load. Nobody's going to be able to pick him up there. after the vulcanized rubber bounces, and there you go. It's a wide open net, 2-0 Cats.
And we got word from a few nights ago that Corey Perry made that speech in the middle of Game 4 at the first intermission. We need something similar to that speech, or something of the McDavid speech after Game 2 of last year's finals, because the Oilers are down big again, 2-0. So, and they have each of their victories that came in comeback fashion. Don't need another one of those comebacks here. At that right point, the pass blocked, and the Oilers have forced an offside.
That's Sally Pod-Coles and Alec going to the box.
Oh my good. If you think about going from bad to worse, this is your definition. Knobloch is shaking his head.
Kulikov gets tripped right on the skates. I'll admit it's a little bit soft, but they've called it.
That does not bode well for Edmonton.
It's interesting because the power play is almost the unique reverse from the first period when Edmonton had a chance to carry over. See what the Cats do.
Yeah, they won Game 3 big, but you know what happens here. Jones winds up, he fires, and Pickard got a piece. Ekblad holds it across the ice, deflected away by Henry. For the far corner, it'll be settled down by Ekblad at that corner. Kachuk frees it up for Barkov at that far half boards. Barkov to Reinhardt, force it back over to Barkov. Jones is back deep, he waits. Barkov holding, goes down over Kachuk between the legs, and find the rebound, blocked in front. Swept away, but not out. Loose stick, Evan Bouchard. His stick is broken. He can't get out of it because the Panthers are on the man advantage. Jones trying to set up. Goes behind for Ekblad. Back around for Jones. Jones towards Reinhardt in the slot. Ekblad all the way out. Ekblad to Jones as he looks. Jones down deep over to Kachuk. Kachuk bringing it up. Barkov can't get to this. The Oilers trying to play it out. And finally they do. Bouchard can get a new stick. 45 on the period, 1 minute on the power play. If the Panthers don't score here, they'll have carryover power play time. They're 5 of 13 on the power play in the first period. The Oilers on a must-kill penalty, as essential as it is. Outscoring Edmonton 11-4 in the first period of this series. On that right point, handled by Schmidt. Schmidt with the face slapper. Then Schmidt fires on the wrister. Pickard stopped at 23.1 on the clock.
I know. Yep, and I know now, as you said, they're going right after Brad Marchand. If you're Edmonton, got to table that right now. Again, I know you came back from the second period and scored 3 unanswered goals, but I'll say it right now. I don't see this happening to Florida. Again, if you're Edmonton, the only thing you need to concentrate on is scoring goals.
You have to, and don't play to their mind games. You see, Brad Marchand being the second player all time to have 5 goals in a single Stanley Cup final, all time. The other being Mario Lemieux. He's still out there.
Sam Bennett and Connor McDavid set the duel in the draw.
To the right of Pickard as Trent Noor getting set to drop it. When are we going to have a puck drop?
We're going to substitute for Jan Mark.
Evan Rodriguez taking some circles around the ice. Janmark does win this draw, will be collected up by Oilers as Nurse. Gets this one by Nate Schmidt. It'll be grabbed by Bobrovsky with 15. Fifth player in playoff history with a 6-game road goal streak, the first since Mark Scheifele in 2018. Up to the near side, Verhaeghe is this bounced up. Verhaeghe towards the front. The rebound swept away. Grabbed down with 2. Rodriguez.
No.
Oh my goodness. Calvin Pickard grabbed that one right at the buzzer. To end the first period, the Panthers will have 17 seconds of power play time to begin the second.
Yes, he did. And you're right during your call. I had to interrupt for a moment because Jake Wallman with a cheap shot on Sam Bennett for whatever reason. Not smart there. We'll go to break.
And Bennett did retaliate back. And, of course, that is the appropriate reaction about retaliation because of that cross-check after the matter of fact. Because Wallman, of course, he had that bad game 3. But you cannot have that.
No, you can't. Brad Marchand, they've given an assist to Anton Lundell. I thought they would off the tie from 9-12. And then Sam Bennett, Kachuk gets his shot blocked off the skate of Wallman. Bennett scores his 15th of the playoffs. Calvin Pickard, 7 of 9. Sergei Bobrovsky, he needs a sort of pillow to go with his mattress. Only 3 of 3. Hasn't had anything to do. Hits are 9-9. That's tied, but the Cats dominating on the circles as well, 14-7. Look, I know what happened, as I mentioned, from game 4 in that second period. It was a complete reverse, the Uno reverse, if you will, as you always like to say, Alec. 3-0 for the Oilers. I don't see that happening this time around. So the 2-0 start after one could not be worse for Edmonton. They've got to find a way to bounce back. Yes, they only got 3 shots. I would look probably to say, Alec, rough math, they need about 15 shots on goal at least in the second.
At least test Sergei Bobrovsky and send people towards the net.
Yeah, there's a lot that's got to change. Again, after the first probably 5 minutes or so, gentlemen, I would say that the Oilers were in good withstanding. You had the 2-on-1 for McDavid that partially gets blocked off the side of the net, and then a break for Connor Brown. But after those first 4 or 5 minutes, and then the Marchand goal especially, it was all Cats, and it wasn't close after that.
Yep, and it wasn't close after that. The momentum can change in a dime at any point. I imagine that second period, the Oilers, they do need to wake up, get some of the energy that they had from last game's second period. It's tighter the second period. Third period, that's where the Oilers, they can take control because of their goal differential there. But it's much tighter than we anticipated to be. Every single one of the Oilers wins in this finals has been in comeback fashion. They have 8 as such in the entire playoffs.
I'm going to mention this really quickly, only because of the comeback, and then I'll go into the AHL side of it. But I saw that Caitlin Clark made her first return back to play the New York Liberty, who had not lost a game. Yes, Sabrina Ionescu dropped 34 for the Liberty, but Caitlin Clark in her first game back, 32 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, and several logo threes. She had a pretty good night.
Yep, she was in attendance for Game 3 of the finals, and she tore up the Liberty in that victory. 7 of 14 from deep, and a near triple-double to cap this off. She was 2 rebounds and assists away. She's simply put generational.
Yes, and I want to talk about one thing that happened yesterday. I don't have a ton of headlines here for today, although, Alec, I'll say admittedly, in between Isaac Howard, who I believe is still Michigan State Spartan, he's going to come back for, I think, his senior season, but he has decided he no longer wants to have rights with the Tampa Bay Lightning, so I guess they're going to have to cut ties.
Well, this is a development because of him being a draft pick by them and one of their top ones on the prospect pool. Now, the best possible solution is to trade him to somewhere, a team that wants to take on his signing rights. If you do want the best case possible, a team that's more offensively oriented, because offense is his calling card. Say, Dallas may be in a cap crunch. Would the Stars be willing to take on his signing rights?
Yeah, that's interesting because if you're Tampa, we'll be honest, as far as their cap crunch and everything else that you talk about, again, you got Getzel, Blink, Kucherov, everyone and the like. They needed somebody like Isaac Howard in particular to come in and kind of crack that bottom 6 because that's going to give them cap relief, and now they're going to have to look elsewhere. I know Yanni Gore, they just signed him, but they really could have used somebody like Howard.
And that's especially true of Oliver Bjorkstrand,
Yeah.
not playing a single playoff game for them because of his injury.
I want to get to one thing in the AHL. Now, admittedly, I'll be honest. I don't know if everything is going to continue to be operated by Flow Hockey. That's FLO Hockey, all lowercase. That game was streamed Game 1 online. So if it's not carried on NHL Network, I might follow that across. But the Abbotsford Canucks, they went in double overtime of Game 1 of the Calder Cup Finals. This game was absolute insanity. And you would think, as I'm looking across, we remember the name Arthur Shelovs, Alec. He stops 51 of 54 in the win.
And it's especially insane when you think about that earlier in that game. the checker seemed to have scored a game winner, but it was waved up because Shelovs was not set. For as much as it's a bummer, it's the right call because the linesman cannot drop the puck until the goaltender has been set for a face-off.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I was going to mention that too, Alex. So we got the camera shot and alongside at Bojangles Arena from where they're at, that was almost a 9,000 in attendance, which would have set an NHL record. I believe they were at 8,800. But he's go getting a sip of water. He's all turned around, and the linesman doesn't even go to look to make sure that Shelov's set before he drops the puck. Now, I can't say for certain whether or not they're going to keep that same linesman and propensity for game 2 on that side of the duty, but that's a cardinal rule. If nobody's set to go yet before puck drop, the goal's not going to stand.
And that is especially true, and everyone needs to remember that. You cannot go until everyone is set. But what a game for Danila Klimovich, who scored that overtime winner in the second OT. Max Sasson got some reps with Vancouver. The Abbotsford was down 3-1 in this game after Charlotte took a 3-1 lead with Justin Sourdeff, Oliver Okuliar, and Mackenzie Entwistle, former Chicago Blackhawk. Jesse Puljujarvi is getting AHL action. Remember him? He's finally playing in a championship.
Yes.
We didn't know that it would be in the AHL. It's a far cry from the Stanley Cup final, but still, I mean, it means something for him.
Yes, it does. And I want to make one little quick mention, and you guys can take this wherever you want. But as far as Justin Sourdeff, who's the product of the Florida Panthers and the Charlotte Checkers, again, he's got a 2002 birth date, but in the mix, he's had about 2 or 3 breaks potential on that game. He's got a ton of speed, so I would imagine that forward's going to get some NHL time in the near future. But again, the shots on goal, Charlotte Checkers were in complete control. It was 54-30 shots on goal. And again, Abbotsford plays the hero, but if not for Shelov's going 51-54, that game would have been long, long over. I just wanted to make the mention.
And Matt Pearson 2 assists. Kyle Chris Colo with an assist. Entwistle, Sourdeff, of course. And Puljujarvi, as we mentioned about everyone around. Sammy Blais, a former Stanley Cup champion of the St. Louis Blues. He has 2 assists in game 1 for Abbotsford.
And there's a lot of big names that are playing in the game. And then tomorrow they're going to be a Father's Day matinee. And then their game 3 will be our game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals, which took precedent. Give me your thoughts. I know you guys didn't get a chance to cover it yesterday, but one more time for OKC and Indiana, as that series is also tied at 2.
That series is going to 7. I mean, and I wasn't able to watch it. I was working, but from what I hear, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander turned into a beast.
Yep, as what Ian mentioned, SGA another night where he drops 30, and he's got 35 in this game. Though it was more back and forth than we imagined. This time it was the Thunder prevailing in the fourth quarter as opposed to the Pacers prevailing in the fourth quarter. Jalen Williams and SGA leading the way on this comeback. 35 for SGA. J-Dub got 27. I confused between the both of them. Of note, Shea didn't even have an assist throughout the game. Alex Caruso didn't have a 20-point game all regular season long. His first 20-point games in the finals. He dropped 20 with 5 steals and 3 rebounds off the bench on 7 of 9 shooting. Chet Holmgren had a 14-point, 15-rebound effort. And when the Pacers, they were ahead with 5 players getting double figures. Of course, we expect that from Siakam and Halliburton with 20 and 18. Abe Boris, 5 assists, 5 steals for Spicy P. Hallie with 7 assists and 2 steals. He got Obi Toppin with 17 points. Thing is, though, this loss stinks for the Pacers. Of course, this was a game which you had in your bag, but the final minutes were especially so painful. And I know Ben McMaffrey you can make an argument that he was the best player on the Pacers, if not for Tyrese Halliburton in game 3. But game 4, that was painful to watch. Oh, you can talk about Freak Rose and Scott Foster all you want, but even if the Pacers were behind, Maverick was one of the key reasons why the Pacers lost that game. Chris Freak Rose caught up to Indiana, especially for Maverick. He missed 3 of 4 free throws in between 2 sequences. And also, of all of that, he committed 2 away from the play fouls on inbounding attempts. Cardinal sin of basketball.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't commit a foul away from the play on an inbound attempt. What do you expect? Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's going to knock down the free throws. Don't be complaining when you're doing yourself no favors.
Going hard on Benedict Mathurin, Alec. I like it, though, because, again, he was coming off a 25-plus performance. Nothing but here with 8 on just 1 of 2 in 14 minutes. And you got to believe Rick Carlisle saw all of that. That's why the minutes got limited there. And you're absolutely right. I can't think of the last time. We'd have to go back through NBA history, admittedly, and go through the timeline. The last time a player in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander goes 12 of 24, 35 points, and does so without an assist. So he still had a dominant game, and his team got the win. I'm looking at some of the other team stats really quickly as far as these turnovers. This one wasn't completely crazy, as both teams were 16 apiece. And the Pacers, as you mentioned, they had a 10-point lead, but it's not enough against a team like the Thunder. Now, here's a critical question. We could say the same thing in between Florida and Edmonton as we do between the Pacers and Thunder, because the series is tied at 2. Does whoever win Game 6, whoever win Game 5 essentially now, is that who's going to win the series?
Unsure about that one. Because if the Thunder win Game 5, of course the Pacers will be faced with adversity. Though, as we know for the Pacers, they don't seem to run out of gas at any time. The Thunder, of course, they are a methodical team, but they got to prioritize ball distribution. I say whoever wins Game 5, I feel is going to find itself in a tight situation in Game 6. But I'm not sure about whoever wins Game 5 wins this series. I can see an argument for the Pacers. For the Thunder, I would say I am 70-30.
Okay, I got you. I agree with you there. I think if the Thunder find a way to take it, I think they will find a way to finish out the series and avoid 7 games. I think the series that we're covering today in between Edmonton and Florida, as Alec and I said, that's probably destined to go 7 games regardless of what happens. Although if Florida does find a way to win on road ice at Rogers right now, I think they will go back to Sunrise and maybe right some wrongs of what happened in the previous game when they had a big lead, because it certainly looks like they're doing that right now. I know we got another at least 40 minutes left to play, but when you're looking for an answer, as I said in the opening part of the tweet, both teams have been able to do that. You're looking for an answer, and you're looking for something to feel good about. After the Florida Panthers coughed up a gargantuan lead of 3 goals, they come out and score the first 2, dominating the first period again. You got to feel pretty good.
You got it. You dominate the first period one more time. But once again, you have to protect that lead. You cannot get too complacent here, though I imagine Paul Maurice has guys motivated to not get complacent in the second and third periods. And to prevent an Oiler comeback attempt. The Oilers, they have this habit of slow starts. And most times, it's bit them.
I'm going to look at some of this stuff, admittedly, on the MLB scoreboard. I didn't watch too much of it today as I was looking forward to this game, but I saw the Tigers got absolutely owned after they finished the Reds yesterday. They lose 11-1, but everybody else in the AL Central just continues to drop games. So the Tigers 1 game away from the best record still at 46-26. But the Guardians, Twins, Royals, and White Sox just continue to handle L's, and that's what gives the Tigers essentially like a 9-game lead in the division, which is the biggest in baseball.
I have no comment about the Royals right now. They are. You know what, though? I will say they're at least self-aware of how bad they've been sucking, because after getting shut out 4-0 by the Athletics, there was a players-only meeting after the game. It took 20-plus minutes before the media was allowed to do interviews.
Oh, boy.
So hopefully they're getting it together.
Is there, Ian, let me ask you this while we're on the topic very quickly. Is there any thought in your mind that Contrado might get tossed?
With who?
You're the manager, Matt Contrado? Yeah.
Look, he's the first manager to take the team to the playoffs since Ned Yost. He's not getting tossed this season, especially because they're only 3 games under 500 at this moment, I believe, maybe 2. But I will tell you who does need to go, and that is their hitting coach, Alec Nava, because it's not just the lower lineup hitters that are falling off. Bobby Witt Jr. was an MVP runner-up last season. He had the second best on-base percentage over on-base plus slugging, with over 1,000. And this season, he has dropped off drastically. And I didn't know this before a couple weeks ago, but fellas, I'm going to share with you something about Mr. Zumwalt that just boggles the mind. Before he became a hitting coach, Alec Zumwalt was a minor league pitcher.
How does that work? That sounds like Bobby Witt's at the top of the lineup, and then Alec, Ian, and myself are going to bat in the middle of the order and try to fix the Royals.
See, no. Bobby will get second. It's either Jonathan India or Michael Garcia, which actually Garcia has been the best hitter despite going cold all season. Last season, Jonathan India has been disappointing to say the least. But the fact of the matter is, their hitting coach was a minor league pitcher. And one other thing is this. They call up Jack Taglione for a spark, and it worked for a series. Now I'm worried that they have screwed this kid, and pardon my language, but Alec, it's only been recently that you paid attention to Pirates baseball, right?
Only recently.
Okay, so John, maybe you remember this name, but Alec, when you have time, look up a former Pirates prospect named Pedro Alvarez.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The Pirates did Alvarez dirty. They rushed him to the bigs because they needed a spark, and it completely derailed his career. And I am afraid that if they don't change the hitting if they don't overhaul the development staff for the hitters, it will be another wasted core joining the likes of Beltran, Baroa, and Sweeney, Merrifield, Mondesi, and others.
Yeah. Ian, I got some more that I want to talk about with Alec as far as that too when we get into the second intermission. I'm going to go ahead and immediately take this play-by-play as it's 1933 in the second. No matters though, it's just iced. So the power play has been killed, but it's going to be a D-zone draw upcoming here for the Oilers.
The Oilers need to spark. They took a shot away from the Panthers, but they need a spark here in the second period, no matter how.
Kachuk just got denied by the defense right out in front. It was a rebound that popped up between the middle of the dots. Another bad turnover to start. We just started this second period. This is sent back in behind the inboards. Here's a rattle around the embankment. And dare I say this, I can't believe I'm about to. If this game continues to go off the rails, are you going back to Stuart Skinner again in Game 6? That's my question. As this is picked up on the inboards, but Pickard's done nothing wrong. I said Skinner did nothing wrong in the first period when it could have been 7-0. It was 3-0 after one, but then they still came back to Edmonton, find a way to win an OT as Drexel got his fourth OT winner of this playoffs. Big hit to the right side boards. And now late cross check at the end of it as Eetu Luostarinen slow to get to his feet. Now he'll pop back up. Draisaitl off the drop. As this will be recollected by Gustav Forsling, the waiver claim extraordinaire. as it goes back to Ekblad. Flips ice. Beautiful entry pass out ahead. Jake Wallman needs some help. He's taken heavy into the boards by Brad Marchand, who gives him a love tap after. No doubt trying to get some retribution. Corey Perry, as this one's knocked away. It's Marchand now on a one-on-one. He goes for a roof shot. This one misses the top of the right crossbar, but he had the right idea right off the rush. He has been phenomenal in this game. AJ Greer now for Nosek toward the left side red line. And players will come together now. They keep shooting high on Picker. That's the scouting report that I'm seeing right now, Alec. As this one gets flipped back down the ice, Chris Knobloch's squad in the middle of a change. Shotboard reads just 9-3, but the Cats are up 2-0. Again, the Oilers have just 3 shots with 17:35 left to go in the second. Another shot. This one just misses the right of the crossbar, as that was let go by Evan Rodriguez. Now there's a spin back in behind the end boards. It'll be recollected now from Evander Kane for a moment. He's having a rough time with this puck. We'll throw it back to Brett Kulak. And Edmonton now have to start from right to left. Again, they are in the home blues with the orange tops. As this is picked up by Barkov. He waits for a lane. Throws a backhand toward the net. This one's first fought off by Pickard. Now at the left side red one. Reverse course for Verhaeghe. Verhaeghe with an instep plays between his legs off the pass. This is the third time we've been able to say that during the broadcast. Cats are playing with confidence. Verhaeghe backing in across the wall. Here's a shovel. Forsling lost the handle. Here's a 2-on-1 developing. Kane gets smoked again. And we'll get a tripping penalty. This should go against Florida and Ekblad.
That is making a joke that the Oilers could go for, because that's a tripping penalty as clear as day. Ekblad, he wanted to swipe away off the mishand from Gustav Forsling. One of the rare miscues that Forsling makes, and Ekblad, he tried to sweep it away. Too much momentum as he tried to dive for it. Yes, he did, and he takes away the skates.
There's no doubt in my mind whether or not Edmonton scores on this power play, it's going to be better than their first, because it has to be. They didn't have any shots in their last power play opportunity, and about a minute 10 of it was killed shorthanded by Luostarinen and Lundell and company, so they've got to be better here.
Much better. They need to be the aggressors on the ice from the start of this man advantage.
Leon Draisaitl can't win it off the tie-up. This is a full sail clear from 200 feet. Calvin Pickard, good hit by Luostarinen. He won't try to go for a second, as he will shadow Evan Bouchard. Bouchard is the guy that's had about 11.5 shot attempts per game in this series. Hasn't had a ton of goals because all those chances mostly have been blocked. RNH McDavid takes a hit. Is sent back around by Perry. So again, he's going to get his post positioning in front of the net. RNH, extra pass, right side red line, wide open. Here's a pass across. That one does not hit. Bobrovsky toward the right dot. Hits the glass instead. Nosek off the tie-up. Couple of stick chops in Florida. Excellent work one more time. Gets this puck down the ice. Evan Bouchard with 15:50 left to go in the second. John Hunter with you alongside Alec Nava and Ian Genji. Alec Nava will get set to close for us. He'll take the final 10 of the third, maybe more. Here's another opportunity. Making a play off the knee. RNH will send it back to the left side point. RNH gets it back from Bouchard. Diving shot block attempt from Forsling. Cuts off the angle. This is still near the left side dot. Bouchard fake the slappers. Got in the high slot. Nugent-Hopkins. Flutterer. Perry doesn't score. Kulikov sends it around the end boards. How did he play it on that one? Bouchard. This is barely kept in. RNH. Now high slot. Here's Corey. Goes back to Evan. Perry now. Trying to keep it alive on his backhand. Works his way to the right dot. Here's a back pass. Just kept in. Bouchard. Ripper. Easy save. Bobrovsky with the left pad. Tries to throw it in off the glass. Reverse hit. Cats get it out again. Alec, how did Corey Perry miss that?
I wonder. That was Sergei Bobrovsky's best doing of this game. He was tested. The right idea by the Oilers, and Bobrovsky stood his head.
Reinhardt, as this puck hits the netting, goes up and on a play. Shot board now 9-7, so Edmonton gets 4 shots on that power play. It's a knuckle puck, and Bobrovsky stands tall. You mentioned he's right open in the left side of the crease. This hits his left arm and rolls away.
Right idea for Perry, but it just so slightly kept out on a wide open net.
Corey Perry, 236 all-time postseason games played. He's only got 30 less than Chris Chelios and 3 less than Nicholas Lidstrom, a couple of Red Wings on there. And alongside with Patrick Waugh playing all those games in the net in the mix between the Canadiens and the Colorado Avalanche. As this one now will flip into the players' bench at 14:30.
That puts Perry tied with Mark Messier for the fourth most playoff games played. That's a company full of legends.
You would have to think if Corey Perry stays for another year, as we imagine he's going to, he's not going to retire, but if he stays with Edmonton, he's probably going to add another 12 or 13 games to the postseason games played list, because whether or not Edmonton wins the Cup, they're definitely going to be a playoff team again next year.
They will be, no doubt.
This will be cleared in across the blue line. Tkachuk's got to step back, and now Bennett take his loop around Henrique on his backhand. He's already got one. We mentioned in the last game he could have had 3. He was kind of snake-bitten. It's kind of crazy to use that sentence for a guy that had 15 goals, but he missed some wide-open chances and got nutmegged on a couple passes. As Tkachuk takes a hit. Here's a finish by Stetcher. That was a little high for Erod, but he's able to get away from it. Now Edmonton trying to break out of their own end as Tkachuk has his stick held for a moment. This can allow Darnell Nurse to gain an entry. We'll just backhand it in and go back to his post, maybe take a change as well. Here's a cross-ice pass from Seth Jones. Bennett punched this one off the glass, push ahead. And now Bennett gets the steal. Excellent work. Here's an opportunity off the spin and turn. Gadjevich takes a hit. Try to go back now for Kulikov. This is bouncing, but it goes wide at the right post. Florida now. AJ Greer gets his pass picked off, and that was Lindell. As this was spinning around the end boards now. Nosek with it in behind the cage. Try to set this one up for Kulikov. To the left side point. Here's a partial deflection off of Greer. Goes wide of the stick shaft. Picked up now for Nosek one more time. Try to drive in the net. Gets cut off by the Oilers defense. But the Cats still with it. They're just gaining zone time. Not doing much with it yet, however. As this is sent back down. Shot board reads 9-7. So Florida's got 4. Or Edmonton's got 4 in this period. Florida does not have any. As Schmidt, it's a pin. And around the left side of the glass, Barkov able to try to find it as well. It's stuck in their own end. McDavid trying to get it out, but this is an excellent shield alongside Barkov. Push it ahead for Reinhart. Flips the ice. This will go out of play. Oilers want a penalty. They're not going to get one.
They think that this is settled up out of play from the neutral zone. I don't know what the discussion is, and I don't know if the officials are going to converge. Yeah, they're going to converge to see if this was deflected or cleared out on its own.
We're going to look right now, admittedly. The crowd's reacting. If the crowd's reacting the way they are, maybe my call will be the complete reverse. I didn't think there would be one inconceivably, but let's see. Reinhart now on his backhand, as this one's lofted up into the air. Where's the camera shot? This will... I didn't see it go over the glass, but the refs are going to converge. It looks like we might get a guilty party.
It might be. Nobody deflected it.
We'll take a break. We'll get things squared away when we come back.
Reinhart tried to clear this one out. He backhanded it. He had the right idea, but he airmailed that one way too hard. Ooh, my goodness.
Yeah, so Sam Reinhart, official on the ESPN side, to give the clarification. 7:28 of the period. It's a delay game. It's going to give Edmonton their second power play of the period. Aaron Ekblad with a trip against Evander Kane. Now, this one was much better because the first opportunity didn't have any shots. This is a time now where I'll say it with 12:32 in the second. Oilers have to score here. They need to reverse course. And for the Panthers, they have yet to record a shot in this period. They still have a 2-0 lead. But if I'm Paul Maurice's squad, I don't want to see the same repeat of what we had a few nights ago in the second period. They can't be completely lifeless because it'll let the Oilers come back into the game. And if they're close within that third period, they'll find a way to win. That's how it's been throughout the series.
Of course, we know the Oilers team must reverse fortunes like they did in the second period of Game 4. If you were to make another multi-goal comeback. It's crazy because the Panthers won their first 31 games under Maurice when they led after any period of a playoff game. But here, in the finals, they're 2-2. How crazy everything can change on a dime.
You're absolutely right. And again, that's the nature of the Oilers in this series. When you thought after the first round and they're down 2-0 against the Kings, I thought it was done. I would think at some point after 4 years the Kings would be able to reverse their unfortune, but there was a multitude of things with their lines, Jim Hiller, and all of that didn't come to pass. Maybe they're cursed. I don't know. But the Oilers love playing from behind, and any sort of deficit, even if it's the Cats, doesn't matter. They find a way to take control, and now they're going to need to do so on this power play.
And they must. Over 2 of 3 shots overall.
So the face-off is drawn back. It's sent all the way down, but I guess it's deemed to do us unfairly. That's an unfortunate break for the Cats. We'll begin another stoppage at 12:32.
That's a mercy kill, but that's a merciful it's merciful for the Oilers because that was one too cleanly exited all the way out.
So Anton Lundell, we'll try to get another tie-up here. I don't think there's going to be any sort of breakouts. I know Marchand's not even on this line anyway, but try to push up the ice, not even on a kill. They just want to get a piece of the stick as this goes wide. Connor McDavid, you know he wants to make something happen, and as this series gets later and later, that's another one you have to have your eyes on. Alongside Draisaitl, I know that's pretty much the norm, as this was fought off near the crease by Bobrovsky and then brushed aside. Somebody got a stick blown out of their hands, and now McDavid is the one that gets a new twig. We'll set this one again now for Draisaitl. McDavid got near the right side. There's a loft for Bouchard. He's in the high slot toward the right of the blue line. Here's McDavid's pass. Does not shoot. Bounces in between some Florida skates. Bouchard bounces in off the lively backboards. Edmonton now has all sorts of puck possession as they will with the man advantage, but they're starting to look like themselves in the power play. McDavid toward the left side dot. Here's a chance. This one brushed aside the left pad of Sergei Bobrovsky off RNH, and then the clear is kept in by McDavid, and Bouchard walks in, hits the post. There's Connor McDavid. He came that close, fraction of inches. Picked up now for Bouchard. McDavid, one more touch. Good diving block by Gustav Forsling. McDavid probably should have shot that one. Picked up again. Now for Bouchard. Back to 97. One more feed. Bounces up in the air. Luostarinen in desperation mode as the Oilers look like they're going to score. Here's McDavid. Another block as this is without a stick. And Luostarinen, he's got to spin in disbelief. He's just going to try to shadow. McDavid, Ripper, hits one of the Oilers in the head. And now we will get a stoppage at 10:59. Some friendly fire. That ate Corey Perry for lunch.
I think it might be a penalty. I don't know if the Panthers are going to go down 2 men because Corey Perry got a headshot right to him.
This one goes off the post, and again, the headshot, I'm looking at this right now, McDavid off the lift. They're showing the left side of the post. I thought he might have got hit with the puck. I'm looking on the other side of these camera shots, and if there is any penalties, I'll relay those to you. We're not getting those looks right now from NHL on TNT. That's unfortunate, but we will get another draw. Cats win it, and they got to do it again. This is the second time this has happened to Florida. We'll get another stoppage at 10:59. Still 27 seconds with the man advantage.
Barry Shinky said he thought that there should have been a penalty on the play, and I thought so too.
This will be tied up. Henrique wins the draw as this is sent back toward Bobrovsky. Big save and sent back down. So it looks like the Cats will be able to survive. Maybe time for one more rush here for Edmonton. Darnell Nurse. He's turning on his speed boots. Puts this one in across the glass. A chase for Evander Kane as this will be flipped. Now ahead for Seth Jones. So they do kill the penalty, and alongside Sam Reinhart, delay of game. The shot board is now even at 9. It doesn't sound like a lot because there hasn't been a lot. As this is picked up anyway, but again, posts don't count. Evander Kane roughs up Barkov. He's trying to do more of that. As it's picked up by number 16. This one bounces big time. But this will stay in play off the high-end glass. And now the Oilers try to get it out of their own end. Very contested, delayed offside. The Cats can't touch as Bennett finishes his hit. This gets chipped in deep for Darnell Nurse. So right to left for the Edmonton Oilers, left to right for the Road Whites and the Blue Pants and red striping for the Cats. They're up 2-0. This series is tied 2-2. John with you alongside Alec Nava and Ian Genji. Here's a lone race for the puck for Erod, and he can't find it. This will be settled back toward the right side of the glass. Here's a chip and chase. And this will work out for the moment for Pod Colson, but this gets contested to the left side red line. 9:30 left to go in the second. Wallman, cross-ice pass. Fake the slap shot Stetcher. Throws it in behind the inboards. Wallman tries to find it. He airmails it. But this will work as some possession in the near tight right side wing. And now Stetcher loses it. This will be lofted down the ice. Here's a rolling puck end over end, but not far enough for icing. So good work there for Florida as we press on with 9:05 left to go in the middle stanza. No goals to tell you about in this second period, both of them in the first by the Cats. As this will be bouncing off the inboards now for Tomas Nosek. He tries to help recollect the puck for his teammate Gustav Forsling. He has been all over the ice. He's got about 4 shot blocks already, and 3 of them might have saved goals. U2 Lusterinen will send this in around the inboards as Paul Maurice's squad gets a change. And this will be knocked away for the moment. Oilers now in a 2-on-3. They have the disadvantage here as this is picked up to the left side of the glass. Ekholm with a rocket, and this will be solved by Bobrovsky.
Matthias Ekholm, of course, the long shot. and the Oilers looking like the better team here in this second period. What the difference being Sergei Bobrovsky and the goalpost that McDavid hit on that power play. Of course, he's still shaking his head, saying, how did I not score?
Alec, let me ask you this. I know the shot board reads just 10-9, and there has been some posts. But is this the best defensive game in this series that both teams have played so far?
So far, I can agree with that. Yes, this has been the best defensive game that we have seen from both teams. You know, the Panthers, they have provided the offense. The Oilers, they have also provided the offense. The difference being that we know Pickard's playing good, but Bobrovsky's been a wall.
Yes, he has. Pickard 7 of 9, Bobrovsky 11 of 11. You could say, Alec and I are not going to, but you could say that Bobrovsky had a bad game in the previous one. I don't think so in terms of the 5-4 in OT. Yes, he got roughed up a little bit in that loss, but 30 of 35. Every other game in this series, Bobrovsky has taken complete control and has been the better netminder of this series. And again, we'll let you know, depending on what happens, if the Cats take a 3-2 series lead or if the Oilers do, whether or not Calvin Pickard, in our honest thoughts, gets another start in Game 6. Right now, I don't put the blame on him, but the Oilers, a couple power play opportunities, they've had 3, in fact, already. They just haven't scored.
And it's not like they've done anything wrong in the latter 2 power plays. They're doing everything right. The Panthers, they're getting reliable goaltending from Bobrovsky. Plus some puck luck their way with McDavid ate the post, and Corey Perry airbelling one that hit right off the arm of Bobrovsky.
Time on ice is pretty evenly distributed across defensive side, but Troy Stetcher, want to make this mark again. He was benched in about less than 5 minutes of play. Last time out, he's already had 7:26, so they're going to go through normal rotations. Matthias Ekholm, admittedly, has the second lowest ice time at 7:51. Bouchard leads all the defensemen there at 13:41 for the Oils. So we'll continue to monitor that for you as a D-zone draw. This one is controlled by the Oilers. Ekholm now is back out there as he throws it across for Bouchard. Plays it to the right side boards, bouncing puck. Fought off by Bobrovsky's stick shaft. And this will be knocked down. A couple of Cats fall down as well. Barkov tried to chip this off the glass. He couldn't do so convincingly, but Ekholm couldn't hold the point. As this will be slap-shotted into the right side wing and slowed down by Bobrovsky behind his net. Kane shoots it off the outside of the cage. Shot board reads just 10-9, but Edmonton down a couple of goals. Good hand-eye for Carter Verhaeghe. Trying to find this one now off the bounce off the boards and Evander Kane's pass. This will be wide open across the middle for the Oilers. Lead the rush for Draisaitl off the drop for Kane, and he mishandles the puck. Man, oh man. As this goes to the left side red line. He would have been wide open in the middle of the slot, but he just lost the handle. Darnell Nurse. Start this again. 7:30 left to go in the second. John Eder with you alongside Alec Nava and Genji. I'll carry the next 10 minutes of the third, and then Alec will close for the next 20 if we need it, if we go to OT, and we'll keep flipping. As this is sent the other way, we already had 3 of 4 games go to OT, with the exception of the Game 3 slobber knocker in the 6-1. As this is settled down by the Oilers at mid-ice. I have to start again with Darnell Nurse. They're just trying to get some breakouts and gain the red line. Right now, Florida is cutting them off, and they're forcing the Edmonton Oilers They have to clear this one in from 100 and then playing with the puck. They're keeping the game a lot more slowed down as this will be ripped around for Brad Marchand. He gets his own rebound. Man, he's been so good in this game. Here's a pass, high slot, set it up for Nate Schmidt, and this one gets blocked. Step aside by Kulikov. Great steal. It's Schmidt now, and alongside for Bennett toward the right side of the glass for Evan Rodriguez. And a chase for the puck will be a little bit wide. Nate Schmidt, last man back. He's got control of it as the shot board is now even at 10. Bounce for Bennett. Bennett, Ripper, Kachuk. This goes up the outside of the cage. Might have bounced off Picker's pad. It's settled back down for Bennett. His pass a little bit too hard. Can't hold the line. Florida's got to pick it back up at center. Nate Schmidt, little D-to-D pass get going again as Florida barely gains the red line, but the linesman will give it to him. As this is sent back around by Stetcher, trying to get it out of his own end. Janmark needs some help as it's bounced off Nurse skate. Just not holding on to the puck very well as Edmonton, and also, as they said, they've been having a clear full sail of the ice. They can't get anything going in the last 5 minutes because Florida's looking to play a lockdown defense, and that is a much breath of fresh air for Paul Maurice because the Cats are looking like themselves. When they have a lead, they're kind of dictating this pace and putting it in the muck, and that's what they need to do. Here's a clearing attempt. Opportunity now for Jonah Gadjevich. Sends it back in from the point. Picker will hold from a long slap shot.
Side relief for Darno Nurse and Joyce Stetcher been out there for approximately 2 minutes between the two of them. The Oilers just can't catch a break because they've been slow towards each puck, it seems here 5-on-5. Special teams, they have the edge. That's mostly because of them getting power plays. But at 5-on-5, Florida is showing themselves that they have the edge clear.
Let me ask you this, and I know it's hard to predict. You're going to be taking the back end close for us, Alec, but the way that this second period has looked, the way that the first period has looked after the Marchand goal and then the extra one alongside for Bennett, I think the Panthers will be able to take this third period. Maybe the Oilers get one on the side of an empty net and get the push. Maybe this will be a 3-2 type of game, and we'll see a couple more. But the defensive effort that I'm seeing right now for the Cats, I think they're going to be able to make that same kind of effort in the third.
I feel so the same way. That same defensive effort would work out wonders for the Panthers on the rest of the way to hold on to a 2-0 lead. His tight defense has been the main statement for the Panthers in Game 5.
This feels like a game that kind of reminds you of a lot of Stanley Cup Finals games that are played this type of year. It's tight checking. It's close to the vest. We've taken every sort of fight night from Game 3. We've tabled that in Game 4. We've tabled that in Game 5. It's about the hockey now. It's about the structure, the defense, the intensity of the Florida Panthers. And they're showing you why they're so hard to beat.
Yes, you beat them, it's an earned win. It's not easy to beat the reigning champions. If you were to beat the toughest team, you have to beat the toughest team.
That is what we're seeing so far throughout this game. Let me give you a little bit of a reset. We're getting closer to ending the second period. Shot board with 5:15 left in the middle stanza is 12-10 Cats. Hits are 15-14 for the Panthers. They also lead faceoffs 17-12. There's been 4 power plays. Edmonton's had 3 of them. Nobody scored just yet. Giveaways are 10-4. You don't want to leave that there for the Oilers. And they're forced into some mistakes, but again, they've been forced to dump the puck from about 120 feet as this one is recollected. Cats have it in the offensive zone. Here's a spin and turn for Verhaeghe, trying to throw it back around for Barkov. Stolen by Wallman. He ran into the zebra toward the left side red line as it's spun in behind the embankment. Seth Jones puts it back for Barkov. Already played a couple pucks between his legs alongside Matthew Tkachuk. Just trying to wait him to see if he can get some goals because Barkov is a completely skilled player. He's built like a power forward, but he's got the hands of a sniper, and he can score and dish like a playmaker. It's just sent down the other way. The Oilers have iced it. Now, it is only 2-0, but I feel like they really want to get out of this second period.
They must get out of this second period for at least one goal. But that pass intended for Adam Henrique, you don't want to miss on a pass like that. They're just playing like a team that needs to be desperate. Leon Draisaitl, of course, he is the MVP of the Oilers right now. We need to show that for him.
Yeah, it's been a bear trap in this second period. I had to call it that way. Marchand with a bomb. This one will go back to him now. He takes a cross check. He gets knocked down. That's not going to be called as Trey Stetcher slowly puts him on the end board. See if the Edmonton Oilers can win a puck battle or even have the puck in this second period. There's not been a lot of that. Here will be bounced a couple times across the red line. Good backhanded pass. Set it up for McDavid, but 3 Panthers converge on him and flip this one down the ice. It'll be deflected, so no icing call. 4:15 left to go in the second. Bouchard going to take an abbreviation and behind his net. Start again. Shot board 12-10. Cats have only had 3 shots in this period. Edmonton's had 7. That's all that there's been. As it's Nate Schmidt with Kachuk throw this one in the corner. Goes ahead and finishes hit, does one of the Florida Panthers up ahead is Ekholm. Now will brace on his backhand. This is cut off right across the middle. Bobrovsky will lean out toward the right side of the post, make a save. That will at least draw an ozone pick for Edmonton.
Corey Perry was quick towards the puck at that right circle. Immediately thought, shoot. And the shot placement needs to be top side if you're going at Bobrovsky.
That has been the storybook that you've called throughout this, Alec, and you're absolutely right. The scouting reports read the right way. We have at least one more game for you. The 8:10 start will be on the air between X, Twitch, and the YouTube side. John Reinhardt, Jens Alec, per usual. Ian Genji usually joins in. I think Cooper Hopkins probably will be available for the closeout in 6 or 7. Although, admittedly, as I said, he'll be biting his fingernails if the Oilers find a way to win this game. But hopeful to get him back. He's a little bit of a plane travel. As this is sent the other way now for Nico Mikkola. Be taken away from Ekholm, who tried to step up, and here's a rolling vulcanized rubber that goes down the ice. Again, icing waved off. As Verhaeghe finishes his hit on Bouchard, Barkov throws it back to the left side point. 3:30 left to go in the second. No goals to speak of in the middle stanza. Still 2-0 for Florida. Draisaitl, German superstar, wants to make something happen. It's Ekholm off the Rushka toe drag. And this will be knocked away. McDavid trying to keep it at the point. Ekholm throws it in the corner. Reinhardt, he gets dispossessed off the stick lift. This is going to give wide open possession. Ekholm does not shoot and now fires high and off the inboards. This will be recollected now. I believe that was Arvidsson, but I might have my numbers crossed up. Bouchard, this one will be solved by Bobrovsky, and we'll get a stoppage at 2:58.
The Panthers are forcing everything back towards the point on this possession. They're denying chances towards the low slot because they're excellent at clogging the low slot. So you have to think back for the Oilers. If they were to leak away offensively, you want to drive on a rush chance, and typically you want to leave something for a trailer option just to get one goal.
You got to find something, and you're right about the trailer there for Ekholm. He's the one that got the slap shot from the point just to try to get some open space. Look to converge where the Panthers are because they feel like they've been everywhere in this period. I know if I sound like I have a library call, I apologize, but I've had to keep the voice measured because that's the way it's been. There's been no need to have those crazy calls. He hasn't had that in the second period like Alec did in the first, as this will be bounced back now off of Nurse and settle back down. Here for Kulak. Let us start this one again off the glass. Corey Perry and Evander Kane now will try to go ahead and give a chase. And alongside for Kulikov. Kulikov pushing ahead Marchand. Lost it for a moment. He almost gave it right up to the middle of the slot, if not for Nate Schmidt, who saved him there. And this bouncing across the Oilers logo, a little hand-eye out of the air. And Florida will fight for their possession. Just dump it down. We'll have to fight another day. Darnell Nurse with 2:05 left to go in the second. Start this one again. Here's an opportunity for Evan Rodriguez. He'll shadow. Now he'll spin back. Pass in from 100. This will be cleared in across the blue line, but the Cats emerge. They steal again and throw it in across the blue line. Slow back down for Pickard. 1:45 left to go in the second. Every single time the Oilers have the puck, they'll then throw it back over to the opposite side blue line where the Cats take possession and they funnel it back into the zone. That's the entire second period for you in a nutshell. As this is settled back down, and for Henrique, have to start again. Picked up now and off the end glass, a chase for the puck. Bobrovsky cuts it off for Matthias Janmark. 1:20 left to go in the second. The Oilers had possession for a moment. This will be flipped back down the ice. Now this one should be icing, as this will be waved down. 1:16 left to go in the second. Oil will get an ozone draw.
One of the rare mistakes by the Panthers in the second period because they had played a perfect second period defensively. And they clogged up the low slot at 5-on-5, denying the Oilers a chance. So the Oilers, they're mostly being forced towards the outside.
This game in the second period, for those at home, if I want to give you the visualization, I don't care what street you live on, but go onto a fancy freeway where you got traffic cones and a one-way. That's the way it's been right now for the Oilers. They just haven't had any room, as you'll get another whistle with 107. But I think that's the picture that I want to paint for everybody.
Yeah, of course, the traffic jam that clogs up everything has been the recurring theme here in this second period. The Panthers are the ones causing the traffic jam. The Oilers want to get a look. There was an opening towards the outside, and Edmonton, they may be looking far side or top shelf for a shot. As Matthias Ekholm, he lost that one at the last moment.
Draisaitl's going to take the draw. I mean, we'll put McDavid on the off wing. But with the luxury that they have those two guys, if one of them gets kicked out of the circle, as just happened, Barkov now at the time, McDavid tried to find it as this one gets brushed back deep. Carter Verhaeghe can't get it out of his zone. Here's a chance for the Oilers, and this one will bounce before it ever hits Bobrovsky. They'll finally get to start with it with under a minute, as we got a little extracurricular going behind the net. Cats just trying to get out of their own zone. They will after a couple of bounces. Good stick dispossess for Barkov. And we'll shovel this one down deep. I mean, this has been a masterful defensive game in the second, as Alec had just dictated. And we'll see how this gets finished in the final 35 seconds of the second stanza. That's a little bit of a hole that the Oilers get away with. There hasn't been a lot of penalty calls, exception with the ones that have had to have been. Not a lot of controversy. Here's another hit. Bennett, you got open for a wrister off a bounce of Kulikov, and we will get a whistle at 20. Looks like the Oilers should be taking a penalty. I think Kulikov got hit in the face probably about 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, right after that hold, the Panthers, they were upset by no penalty being called. And we're looking at it, Leon Draisaitl, who's going to the box, the extracurriculars that have happened. Draisaitl, how many times have the Oilers committed high sticking penalties in the Stanley Cup final?
Alec, if I had to guess, in between these Game 5 that we're in right now, at least about 6 or 7. They've been out of control.
Yeah, it has been. It's a recurring theme with Evander Kane. And now Draisaitl is the next one to be on this list.
So at least if Florida doesn't score here, they'll have a minute 40 of power play carryover time going into the third. And they've just been in suffocation mode as Sam Bennett off the tie-up. Now, I think the Panthers will at least try to press here. They should be in no danger. 10 seconds left to go in the second. Bennett will funnel it across the middle. This one bounces off the glass, and that's going to end a very uneventful second period, but very good for the Cats anyway, as Tkachuk's shot does not beat the horn from 170. It's still 2-0 after 2.
The Oilers have never led after 2 periods in this series, and that continues onwards here. They were tied after 2 in Game 4, but it was clear that the Panthers, they have established themselves as the best team, the better team throughout this finals. The Oilers, they got 2 games, but they have to be lucky they got 2 games so far. And the fact that the Oilers are down by 2, they have to be shaking themselves in the head because there were some missed chances. The McDavid goalpost shot being the closest they got. The Perry shot that was stopped by Bobrovsky, another one that was close. It's with the common theme for the Oilers, missed opportunities.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, one of them does not even count as a shot on goal. So they had a lot more of those there. Then the Cats were held to just about 3 in that period, maybe even 4, about 8-4 on the shot board. That's it, and that's all. And as you mentioned, it seems interesting, but I won't disagree with you, Alec, on the side of feeling lucky to win 2 games because, look, in the first 4 that we've seen right now, this has been no problem for the Edmonton Oilers, give or take, to go up and down the ice. But for whatever reason now, and I'm sure Paul Maurice and company and the players more likely than anyone else had a long look in the mirror of themselves and say, you know what, we let that game get away from us when we had a 3-goal lead. Let's come out and be better. But, I mean, this looks like a Venus flytrap. There is no room for the Oilers to work on the ice right now. And the Florida Panthers, I mean, that was a chef's kiss in that middle 20 is how to play defense. I know they made it quote-unquote boring, but that's what you got to do against a team like the Oilers.
Boring hockey, it means defensive-minded hockey where you play a tight defensive structure. It might not be the most exciting brand of hockey, but it's this style of hockey that wins you games in the playoffs and championships.
Let me look at one more reset, and then I have a baseball note because I have to make sure I wet my glasses to look at it. But the shot board is 13-11, 19-15 on hits, 19-17 on draws. It's all in favor of Florida. Giveaways now, a couple more added here for the Cats. It was 10-3, now 10-7. Oilers still lead that there. Power play opportunities. Again, you had 3 for the Oilers. You did not score at a couple in that period. There will be some layover power play time, about a minute 40 going into the third. Look, we're not even in the All-Star break just yet for baseball, but when I look at this, am I reading this correctly? For the New York Yankees and Aaron Judge, he's played 68 games. Is he really hitting 390?
That's unbelievable to think of. 390, and he's on the league lead for home runs so far. We talk about historical seasons. Judge seems to defy all logic when it comes to the baseball stats. 390. I don't know when was the last time somebody hit 390 in a season or better, but this is impressive from him, at least from a regular season standpoint.
He got 26 home runs, 60 RBI, and in 68 games, Aaron Judge has only struck out 72 times. And to Alec's point, as far as the 390 average, I would say, we've seen 400 hitters and this and that, and George Brett through the timeline and guys that got close. But with the 390 with this type of power and production, that is something that we probably will never see again unless you're talking about Shohei Ohtani. That's the type of a season that Judge has had, just incredibly, incredibly special stuff.
Well, you mentioned Shohei Ohtani potentially going to those levels. We haven't seen that from him, but Judge is having himself a historical season. 390 with 26 home runs. Of course, 390 even is unexpected, even for someone of a caliber of Judge in which he plays the game of baseball. That is amazing. Though Johnny, he's sitting at sub 300, but even so, the 286 batting average is solid for him. Even so, it's scary thought that this season for Ohtani, it's scary that he's one of the top hitters in baseball, but not the top hitter on the team. That honor goes to Freddie Freeman, who's batting 341, who's third behind Judge and Jacob Wilson of the Sacramento A's.
Yeah, Jacob Wilson has had a tremendous year, and when I look across at him, he's only 23 years of age. He's going to be the front runner for the A's. I know when we talked about them about a couple of months ago, Alec, they were one of the darlings of the AL West, and now they've fallen all the way out. But he's had a tremendous season. But I ask you at this point, as we sit in June 14th, I know we're getting closer to the All-Star break, as I've said, but are you still leaning like me that at the end of the day, when the World Series comes a-calling again, that we are going to get another rematch in between the Yankees and the Dodgers?
The thing is, though, I know the media is going to hype up the Padres and all of that because they are the darlings and because of small market. This year, I just don't see the Padres going right by. Even for all the standings and people hyping them up, that they got all the firepower to match up with the Dodgers. But when the lights shine brightest, the Dodgers, I feel, they have the advantage over the Padres. Even for the division being led by the San Francisco Giants, where did they come from, by the way? But I feel the Dodgers, they can be up there. The Mets can give them a run for their money. The Chicago Cubs, I'm not sure about them. Jury's still out on them, even for them leading the NL Central. But as of right now, the Dodgers still, I have them coming out on top in the NL. The Yankees, I feel they'll still handle things in the AL. Though the one team that I see them realistically testing the Yankees is the Tigers. Because the Tigers, you could argue that they are one of the two most complete teams in the AL.
I appreciate you saying that, and I'm not going to be disparaging against my own team, but I do worry, even though they're 46-26. Yes, they've had a great season. Yes, I'm already ready to put them into a playoff spot. I do think they need to add at the deadline I'm worried that Chris Ilitch will not. Again, I've had that conversation. I won't beat that to death as far as being cheap. I do think they need to maybe add a couple more bats for consistency because I think the Tigers could have an early exit into the postseason.
And that's not what you want if you're the Tigers. The best hitter is batting 279, and that's Javi Baez. Wencio Perez has 280, though he's played just 16 games. But even so, it's been a well-rounded unit. A couple extra bats could help out a lot. Spencer Torkelson's having a nice year. Gleyber Torres is carrying on a strong play from the Yankees onto the Tigers. Zach McKinstry's coming up to his own. Javi Baez, of course, is playing nicely. Though, if you want upgrade over the best, you may look at one of the sellers of the market if you want to acquire someone.
Yeah, I wonder when I look at some of the sellers stuff, I'm just talking out loud here. The Atlanta Braves, we mentioned them over the last couple of months in the miserable start that they've had. They're still 31 and 38. I think I've declared them dead about a month and a half ago. I still don't think they're going to make the postseason. They probably should sell. It's kind of crazy to believe that the Chicago Cubs at 43 and 28 leading the Central are going to add, but that team is really good. Pete Crow Armstrong has been unbelievable. He's got to be one of the fastest players in the league and has tremendous defensive ability. I like them, but you're absolutely right about the Giants. I'm not quite sure where they came from because that team is decent, but I didn't think that they would already be 41 and 29. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, and with Bob Melvin as the manager, it does help out a lot. I thought that the firing of Gabe Kapler was not something that I was anticipating for them because I thought he managed the Giants nicely. But with Bob Melvin, this is a well-rounded unit. We know of how good William Adames can be. Though he is elite defensively, the real stars of the show have been in this rounded unit around Adames. Yep, Ramos, who's having himself a great season, batting 294. Elliot Ramos. Of course, Matt Chapman, Mike Yastrzemski are the big headliners on the outfield. Jung-Hoo Lee.
Yeah.
And the first base side for Wilmer Flores. Patrick Bailey being an elite defensive presence. This team may low-key be a surprise playoff team that we never saw coming from the early start of the year.
And when you look at the Giants in particular, when they make the postseason, throughout their history, they're usually a pain in the you-know-what to play against. So that would not surprise me. And then one last close. I know a couple months from now make the difference, but boy, oh boy, I think the Seattle Mariners now they won their last game, but before that, they had dropped somewhere along the lines of 14 of the last 16 as they fall to 500. Now the Astros 10 games above. And again, I know it's only June 14th, but I think I'm already ready to give the Astros the division yet again.
This is basically Buffalo Sabres dilemma. Hot start, then you cool down significantly over the middle of the season, then randomly gain momentum at the end of the year when it was already too late.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So being a Mariners fan is not fun at all. And you're wondering when the breakout from Julio Rodriguez is going to come. Just as an immersion in that stellar rookie season, though.
What do you got, Ian?
So, when you say add another bat, what position are you thinking of?
For the Tigers, you know what? I mean, I know McKinstry's not going to play every day, but I would think probably a cornerback, like third base. I don't know what they're going to do with the outfield side because I think Parker Meadows has got the defensive side unlocked, but I would say corner infield bat.
Okay, well, all right. Unless my team turns it around, what does your farm system look like?
The Tigers.
I'll tell you.
Okay, the Tigers farm system, I can give you the names all in front of me because I know it's like Max Clark and a bunch of them and the like, but they're number one in baseball. They got a lot of options.
All right, well, if you're looking for a corner bat, if the Royals don't turn this around, and trust me, I would not be saying this if I didn't think
Sure.
It was because it's in division, but man, Chris, if Illich is smart, he'll pony up Michael Garcia.
Michael Garcia is a stud. Yes.
And look, it would suck to lose him from the Royals. Trust me, I wouldn't suggest this if I didn't think there was some. But I will tell you what. JJ Piccolo is not going to. Piccolo and Sherman, if they decide to deal, Garcia, it is not going to be a fleecing. This is going to be
right.
This is not going to be a Garrett Crochet to Boston type trade. However, you will have to pony up, including a third base prospect. Whoever that, I'm not saying it's going to be. Actually, I don't even know if Max Clark does play the infield.
No, he's a center fielder, right?
Okay, it's not going to be him, but they will be asking for a MLB-ready third baseman.
Okay. I got you, because I want to make the comparison here for Alec, which is not something that I'm used to saying, but as far as the Pistons, the Tigers, and the Red Wings, they're all in a position to add, and they all have pieces and cap space in which they could add. I know baseball doesn't have a salary cap, but I'm even hearing for the Pistons all these rumors across the board, and like someone say, hey, why not go out and get Kevin Durant? I'm like, what are you, nuts?
Come on. There's no way Detroit's getting Kevin Durant. But in a realist sense, could the Tigers go after someone like a Ryan O'Hearn or a Eugenio Suarez for a quarterback?
Yes. Eugenio Suarez would be a family reunion, and Ryan O'Hearn would be someone that can provide some thunder because the Orioles aren't going anywhere.
It's an all tailspin for Baltimore, and who knows what Arizona is?
Arizona is just a product of a tough division. That's my guess.
That and the bullpen doesn't look all that good for the Diamondbacks. It used to be a strength for their playoff run 2 years ago, but yeah.
I was going to say, Alec, go ahead, Ian.
Although I will tell you this. He was brought in to help the Royals bullpen, and he has. I'll tell you what. The Royals are sellers by the deadline. Whoever comes calling for Carlos Estevez, I want JJ Piccolo to ask for their soul. If you look, Carl, I don't know about right now, but from his last save, Carlos Estevez was second in the league with 18 or 19. If someone comes calling for a high-end closer, there will be a seismic movement.
Yeah. Anytime you mention the word closer, stud, and young, again, I'm not saying Aroldis Chapman across the board because you know what he's been. That's when you back up the Brinks truck as far as what you ask for.
And just to give you fellas an idea, it's not just the amount of saves. His ERA right now is 1.82. Yeah. 1.82 ERA. And that's with not being able to have that many appearances lately because the Royals have had no reason to put him out there.
No, that's domination level, as you talked about. So it's going to be really interesting. Ian, for your sake, I hope that they don't have to sell a whole bunch of stuff, but you're right. And as we talked about before, if you just score some runs, it'd be a completely different season.
Well, hopefully this players only meeting has provided a jolt, has lit a fire under them. Because look, by all accounts, was Salvador Perez, there was going to be a regression. Okay, I don't understand why they're still trying to trot him out there as one of the big bats. It's just it's not working. And then, but it's the other guys. I mean, we've had to send from the start of the season. There are 3 guys that were on in the opening day lineup that are not in the bigs anymore.
Oh,
MJ
boy.
and Massey are both down in the minors. Well, Massey's technically on the injured list, but he had the lowest OPS in baseball, and Hunter Renfroe got DFA.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's rough times. That's how you know the team is struggling.
Now, just before we get to the third period, one more note before we turn things
Sure.
over. We do have something on the Kevin Durant front. He's narrowed his list to 3 destinations: Miami, San Antonio, and Houston.
What do you think about that, Alec? How does Houston sound? How does San Antonio sound?
This is all too conflicting, though, because both teams have young pieces. So I feel, as it goes by the coming days, I feel KD to Houston might be the possibility, even though I am 50-50 on them.
If it was 5, 6 years ago, I think we'd all be saying hell yes. But now at this point, you kind of wonder, what do you have to give up is the question. And we're going to figure.
His
Go ahead.
trade value from a few years ago has decreased significantly. So I don't think he's going to fetch as big of a return as we were originally thinking.
Once we figure that out, Alec and I will go ahead and give you the definitive takes on all of that. And if it is Houston, I hope it works out well for you. We're going to get settled now here for the third. It's still a 2-0 lead for the Cats. They start with an abbreviated power play. As Aaron Ekblad's out there right now getting some camera shots. You know, he was dealing with some of the stuff getting with the shot block off the instep, but everybody's playing hurt at this point right now. Both teams, honestly, are relatively healthy considering, exception of RNH. As this is picked up now for Tkachuk. Barkov back to Chuck E. Cheese as bounces off his skates. Reinhart was wide open, does not shoot. Has to spin now toward the right side dot. Gives it back to Tkachuk. This one, it goes off his blade and back in behind the inboards. We'll see if the Oilers will press here short-handed, as it's Brett Kulak of all people. He's stuck in on a pinch. The rest of the forwards for Chris Knobloch's squad take a change, so they're going to live to fight another day. This will go back for Janmark. Settle back down as the first minute of the third has expired. At least for me, I feel like I could call another 6 periods because I haven't had to use the voice register here. That's the way that it's been. I think the last 10 minutes for Alec is the one that's going to be exciting. He got all the first. That's okay, though. I'm definitely fine with it. That's what the Cats want. As this is picked up the other way. Now, if a full sail clear, that'll be Nate Schmidt. That'll bring the crowd to their feet, at least for Rogers, but they haven't had a lot to cheer about as far as the goal standing because they're down 2-0. As it's 18:30 left to go in the third. John and I with you alongside Alec Nava and Ian Genji. We're going to see who takes a 3-2 series lead in this swing game. Bennett walks in, centered out through the blue paint, and RNH is right there. This will be a full sail clear. Try to find Draisaitl cheating from RNH. McDavid! He puts on a dipsy doodle, but this one leaves the blue line. That cannot hold. And that was inconspicuous there because Arvidsson was all alone. This will start again for Draisaitl's pass. Across the right wing, and this pinball's out of the zone one more time. Oilers have to check back up off the delayed offsides. Gustav Forsling. He will stutter step a couple times and behind and elude Podkolzin as this one gets sent back down. It gets deflected, goes back to Calvin Pickard. He has trouble with it toward the right side wing. This is picked off. E2 Lusterinen. Now we're working behind the net with Brad Marchand, who's had a A+ game so far. This one's spun back around by Bouchard. He gets taken down for a moment as Marchand, and Kulikov cleans up his man as he gets a pin near the right side, but Edmonton emerges with the vulcanized rubber. Here's a chance right up the middle of the ice. Seth Jones finishes his hit beautifully. It allows Reinhart to try to get this one out alongside Lindell and Lusterine in this one. will get picked off. Brown holds the point. Matthias Ekholm on a pinch for the left side red line. Back to the Cats. Right to left, that's where they want to go in the third. There will be a chip and chase. Sam Reinhart trying to get around a 2-on-1 for Evan Bouchard. This one bounces up in the air. Connor Brown throws it back to Evan. We'll have to start again from right to left. Edmonton and the home blues with the orange tops in the mix of the striping. And Florida and the road whites with the blue pants, red striping. They're up 2-0. Shot board is only 14-11, so I don't think this game story is going to be very long. This will be picked up toward the left side red line, sent back down and off the cage, and that should negate the icing. I'm not sure what the Edmonton crowd was up in arms for. It must have been a hit away from the play, but the Cats do ice it.
I don't know what the Oilers were doing earlier in this third period. No sustained zone time to begin things, and even though Matthias Ekholm had a look at holding his in, Brad Marchand, we know he's been everywhere, but the Oilers, they're having trouble holding the zone early. What McDavid doing everything he possibly can to get the Oilers afloat.
You know, the analogy that I'm going to use is like the 16th century of using those barricades to break open the front castle doors. Right now, I'm not even seeing the armies go back there. They must have missed the call and missed their alarm clock, because this is snooze mode right now for the Oilers. They're not even putting up a fight. You can't even get in the zone to begin with to put up a fight. That's the problem. Gustav Forsling will now chip this one off the glass as it goes to Sam Bennett. Here's a touch pass. This will be sticked out of the air. Bennett now will probably get this one back. Here's a good feed out in front. Knuckle puck, a good step up. Kulikov as Bennett throws it back around the inboards. Picked up now for Marchand as they've mixed the second and third line a little bit for Paul Maurice's squad. 15:35 left to go in the third. We haven't had any goals in the second, haven't had anything in the third, as we get a offsides against the Oilers. Boy, oh boy.
This has not been a good period for Edmonton in any facet. They've been behind on every puck, and they have been trailing every battle.
About 25 minutes have elapsed from the second and third period. And Alec, is it fair to me to say that maybe 19 of those 25 minutes have been just thoroughly controlled by Florida? Because I haven't seen anything from Edmonton.
Yeah, it's been all Panthers.
Now this will be sent in off a neutral zone draw. Here we go again. Tomas Nosek out there with AJ Greer. Bouchard lost it in between his skates. Good forecheck for Nosek. Knocks it out of the zone as Greer will push this one ahead. Jonah Gadjevich tries to finish a hit on RNH, but he hits the boards as it goes back now to Evander Kane. He'll flip it out of his own zone. Try to look for Podkolzin and Arvidsson. Trying to find an answer here as we'll finally get a little bit of pushing and shoving, but everything is muted here at 15:05.
Stays that way because no fight from the Oilers, and everything has been more of a one-sided affair by the Panthers, defensively and offensively.
It's kind of a thought process, and I list for Ian that's listening in, or anyone else that's listening in or following along, that the Panthers got their 2 goals, and then once they got their 2 goals in the first, Alec, there seems to be a complete commitment that it's already enough to shut it down, and that's just the way that it's looked.
Yeah, that has been the way. Evan Bouchard and AJ Greer were 10 weeks in a row.
We'll get another whistle here off a consecutive icing, second consecutive for the Cats. 14:58 of the third. Again, shot board combined is 26 shots on goal, 15-11. Again, Florida cannot change.
It's more defensive, which is just more towards the Panthers' advantage. When a game is more defensive, they're comfortable being defensive.
And when Alec gets set to take over here and inside the next 5 minutes, I'm going to wonder where the press is going to come from, because I'm going to say it openly. If Edmonton can't get going by the 8-minute mark of the third, they're going to leave it too late. I think they got another 5 or 6 minutes to bide their time because they're only down 2 goals, but it can't be left later than that. Here's a stick tap. Marchand! What a move! He scores! Unbelievable!
Oh my goodness! Talk about Connor McDavid. Well, here's Brad Marchand. What a move as he turned the Oilers upside down. Wow! Are you serious?
It's a stick tap from Luster-Reeden. What a ridiculous mover on Wallman! And I'm not even sure how he tucked it in. I'm going to have to get another look at this before we break it down. So this is punched ahead by Lusterinen. Marchand, whoop, right past Wallman. And then lefty tuck. He's falling down as he makes the move. Connor McDavid, eat your heart out.
That was beautiful, John. Poetry in motion, just like that. Upside down, inside out, right by Wallman. The old guard's got some gas left in his head. Oh, we got a bandwagoner here.
We had someone that had an Oilers captaincy on with McDavid. They took it off another wearing a Cats jersey. I don't think that's allowed.
Come on, man. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
Obviously, that's the silliest thing I've ever seen. You should get your man card revoked for that. I'm saying that during the live play-by-play. 14:05 left to go in the third. That's the best goal that I've seen in a long time. That's the best goal I've seen throughout the playoffs this year, Brad Marchand. Take a bow. As that goes his 10th from Lusterinen. He's got 2, and I finally felt that in my voice now when I called it. My goodness, but I had to react that way. As it's picked up now for Nate Schmidt. Settled back down 16-12 on the shot board. They just given one to Edmonton. But that was an insane move past Wallman, who left his jock strap in another county. This will be dropped away toward the right side dot. Now Wallman lets it go. Fought off by Bobrovsky. He got ran into by Rodriguez. He will pop back up. Again, he's still on shutout watch. Marchand again. He tried to escape between 3. This time it took 2 to dispossess him off the backhand. And as I mentioned before, within the last 8 minutes, it's all hands on deck now for the Oilers. They have to go. It doesn't matter if you lose this game by a couple of goals. You lose anyway. You got to press. They pick up one more. Who cares if you're Florida? As this is settled down the other way now for Lusterinen. Back to Ekholm. 12:55 left to go in the third. As this goes to Evan Bouchard. Now to the left side red line. Gets knocked away off of Seth Jones. Settle back down for Corey Perry. Here's Bouchard. Slap shot. This goes wide to the left of the glass. Spin and turn. Good work here for the Cats for a moment. Fighting off Ekholm on the puck. Wide open pass. Drive and score. The Oilers needed it. It was McDavid. He found it at the doorstep. It's back within 2.
McDavid gets the pass from Evan Bouchard right afterwards after Marchand scored the best goal in the later stage of the finals. Edmonton finally has somebody to celebrate for. There's one. Of course, when we look at most comebacks in a single Stanley Cup final, the Kings had 3 multi-goal comebacks in a single Stanley Cup final. That was 11 years ago. That stands as the record. The Oilers, they're vying for one, but as everyone was getting themselves into car crashes, McDavid completely undresses Sergei Bobrovsky, puts his head on a swivel, and gets himself a wide open net. No celebration, just a business-like approach.
Absolutely. That's what Connor McDavid had to do. Now, he was on his back skate. He had to take a reverse hit from Reinhart, knocks him off the puck, and then works his way to the left of the post, goes backhand, forehand, and finishes it past Bobrovsky. He had Bobrovsky moving in slow motion.
He was all slow motion, while McDavid, he is basically Quicksilver.
So this is the first goal since, I don't know why they said Game 5 on the other side, I believe, from last year for McDavid. I don't think that's correct, but I just saw what TNT was throwing. As this is sent the other way now for Barkov. Will be stick chopped at the blue line side. I'll get set to give this here to Alec here in a moment, about another minute. As Arvidsson's slap shot goes wide. Got to believe McDavid's goal is going to at least give them some life. I know it's 2 goals, and that Bouchard one was big, but we'll take a break.
That goal was much needed for Edmonton. They needed to get anything, any sort of life after being down by 3. If they can look to one team to get a multi-goal comeback, they may be looking directly at the LA Kings from the Darryl Sutter years, but more specifically 2014 if they want to look at comebacks. But Florida is relying on a tight defensive game with a goaltender that, albeit with age catching up to him, Father Time knocking on his doorstep, he's shut the door on Father Time so far.
Yes, he has. He's been quite good. Brad Marchand is 10th from Lusterinen, 13th, Apple of 5-12. A couple minutes later, Connor McDavid is 7th from Bouchard and Ekholm. makes it a 2-goal game again. It's 3-1. We didn't have any goals in the second period. I got about another couple minutes before I throw it over to Alec. We get set for an exciting close. So that was the first sign of life that the Oilers have shown throughout this game. It's no surprise that it comes from Connor McDavid. But Alec, 12:08 now left in the third, back to 2-goal game is still a ton of time. But I'm looking at this now between 5 and 6 minute segments. And what I mean by that is I think the Oilers now need to score here within the next about 6 or 7 minutes or so if they're going to have a chance. I'm not seeing them getting a flurry here with maybe 2 goals in 2 minutes. They're going to have to try to cut one down in half by the next 5 or 6.
Yeah, they have to between the next 5 or 6 minutes. Say once the timer reaches 8 minutes or 6 minutes, that's the time allotted which you have to score the second goal in a potential comeback. If we're down by 3 before, you have to do it again here at home.
And I will say it this way as plainly as I can. We've only had 5 penalties throughout the first and second period so far. All the rest of these goals, I'm going to go on a limb and say it's going to have to be done at even strength. Fewest games to 150 postseason points. Connor McDavid, 95 to 150. Only Lemieux in 86 and Wayne Gretzky in 68 did it faster. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl are the best of the best when it comes to playoff production, consistently game in, game out. 44 goals, 106 assists in 95 games. As it's 11:50 left to go in the third. Picked up off the backhand. Reinhart shoots. He snipes it. We're back to 3.
We talked about playoff performers. Reinhart last year scored the cup switching goal. And once the Oilers got life, the Panthers snatched it and said, well, you can stay right there. And Reinhart picks it up right off a pump out which Bouchard could not handle it, neither could Perry. Barkov takes it away. The elite defensive awareness of Barkov finally comes to life, and he gets his first point 5-on-5 all series. And we talk of top shelf. That's the area which goaltenders get beat out the most. Reinhardt's well aware of that and snipes it top shelf.
Did he bank that one off the top of the puck? Yeah, you're right. Top shelf and in. He just nets it on the back end. What a shot. That's a lightning release. We talk about Barkov and Tkachuk a lot. You got a couple of power play goals the other way. But Reinhardt's another one of those guys, Alec. I know it goes without saying, but they really need his production. That's a giant goal to answer McDavid.
It is. 3 goals, 3 assists in the finals. And if anything, we talked of Sam Bennett. How about throw Brad Marchand's name on Conn Smythe watch?
I know we're going to have to mention Bennett all the way across the board, who's probably going to win it. Maybe they should cut the trophy in half and share it with 2, because that's how good Marchand has been. And as we get set here, once we get another little bit of a layover, I'll throw it back to you. But I'm going to have to ask you this question as well in the postgame. Pickard's given up 4. He's been beaten consistently on the top shelf. Now, I think Knobloch made the right call for Pickard to go ahead and play because he hasn't lost a game yet in the postseason. But I think Stuart Skinner is going to be starting Game 6 as this one goes up and out of play. I'm just going to leave it with you the rest of the way.
I get with you there. That Stuart Skinner, he may have to start Game 6, wherever this goes the rest of the way. Edmonton needs something. And I mean anything in terms of goaltending production. Because it's not Pickard's fault.
No.
But you want to get the most out of your goaltenders.
You do. And again, I just don't think, especially in that second period from the start of from that first, that there was enough production to press forward. But they found something, as you said, top shelf. They've kind of taken control. You take us home.
Admittedly, I had some difficulties with my connection.
Okay, so I'll hold on for a little bit, and then I'll throw it back to you. As we'll start again, and toward the right side dot. Whenever you get a chance to get that cleared away from the next stoppage, I'll throw it back to you. For Higgy, as this one bounces in off the end boards. Now the left side blue line, it's Evan Bouchard. 18-16 on the shot board here. Reinhart answers the Connor McDavid goal. They got it back within 2, but now it's 4-1. And as we said from Game 4 going into this Game 5, if Florida finds themselves in a similar situation, expect them to hold it. And that it looks like what they're going to do right now. I did not have a feeling that Florida wouldn't win this series, But Alec and I admitted to you that we thought home ice advantage was going to be crucial here through the rest of 5, 6, and 7, and that the home team probably would take each and every game. The Edmonton Oilers are not going to have a great feeling unless they turn things around very quickly, because if they got to go back to Sunrise into Game 6, down 3-2, that's going to be tough to beat the Panthers then twice to host the Cup. I don't know if they're going to do it. First with 6 goals in the Stanley Cup final since Esa Tikkanen for Brad Marchand. That is elite company. Gary Thorne has had some tremendous calls with Esa Tikkanen throughout that time when he had some time on NHL and ESPN. I do miss his voice. 9:05 left to go in the third. Be recollected toward the left side red line now, taken away from Henrique. Flip back down now for Calvin Pickard. Again, it's going to be his net for the rest of this game, but I don't think so after this next one. We'll go back to Skinner. Settle back down, and he had to do it if you were Chris Knobloch, because he was undefeated up to this point. But 16 shots on the shot board for Edmonton is not enough, and that is an understatement. He's sent back down for Sergei Bobrovsky. This has been lock and key defensively, start from the second, from the back half of 6 minutes in the first, all of the second, and some late goals now, which are killers if you're the Oilers fans. He's sent back now to the left side boards, and Forsling slows it down off the delayed offside. Will slap shot it in off the inboards. Picked up now. Pickard will stop it in behind his net. Left to right, that's where the Oilers want to go. They haven't been able to do that much in between the second and third, as this is knocked away off the shovel. Full sail clear on a one-on-one, and Darnell Nurse gave this one ahead, and Arvidsson got to start back in his own end. Bounces back up for Barkov. 7:55 left to go in the third. It's Ekholm. Have to start again in his own end between the dots. Lee for Bouchard. They need to get some offense from Bouchard. I know he gets some apples, but they need his goals. That's another big part of the golden triangle between Draisaitl and McDavid, but Bouchard really hasn't had a lot of that in this series. Here's Marchand again toward the right side dot. He lost it for a moment off the lift, but this is picked off across the Oilers logo and settle back down. Darnell Nurse get it settled toward the left side dot, cross ice pass. We get dumped in across the red. As we said, that's where the construction zones and signs have been leading you to, forcing the Oilers to dump things in and not letting them go north-south. They have not been able to get anything going, essentially, from that second and third. I know McDavid's got one in this period, not a lot of space and no penalty call. Nico Mikkola puts it around the embankment. McDavid on a half spin. Vulcanized rubber is going to belong to the Cats. Road Whites will flip it in. This has been a masterful road game from pretty much start to finish. We got 6:45 left. We get another stoppage. I'll throw it back to Alec if he's all set. Be settled now. Here for the Oilers. Recollected from McDavid. He's trying to snipe it off the backboards. This bounce to Draisaitl near the right dot, but then he mishandled the bounce. As this will be back with the Oilers in their own end. I know I sound like a refrain, but that's the way it's been. The bouncing ball has only bounced one way. Sometimes that's the way it goes, but that tells you why the Cats are the defending Stanley Cup champions, trying to go for 2 out of the last 3. That's elite company. Only the Tampa Bay Lightning did it. They were denied in 2022 by the Avalanche for 3 straight. That's where Cooper Hopkins and I started. We're hoping we'll see him on Tuesday. I think he's going to feel a little bit better, especially if Florida wins. He probably will join us. That's my thought. As this will get sent back down, we'll be iced. If you're good to go here, Alec, I leave it to you. So if I lost Alec for a moment, I will take it away as long as the rest of the feed did not freeze. I know we didn't freeze on the YouTube side, but I'll just hold for the
check.
Yeah, okay, so you're good here, Ian. So we're all set. So I think I might have just lost Alec for a moment.
I think I lost him too. I think something's going on with that.
So 5:58, up to go on the third. I can take it home on this end and then bring Alec back in. As it'll be settled back down to the right side dot. Here's a wrister, be fought off by Pickard, and he will hold. No rebound. 5:46, up to go in the third. We will take a commercial break.
So I was just thinking to myself, the Panthers are known as the Rats. It reminds me of this YouTuber, this Call of Duty Warzone YouTuber, who who made it a trend to call a certain type of player a rat. Let me tell you this. In Warzone, you are known as a rat if your class includes an automatic shotgun, I think the melee weapon is the Escrima sticks, and then a bunch of perks that make sure you can recover ammo and move fast.
Well, that sounds like Brad Marchand on the ice. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. All right, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
We're all
we
good.
hear you.
All right. All right. Sorry if I had to step away for a moment because of the connection issues, but nonetheless, it's back.
No, if you're all good, Alec, I'll let you close the rest of this.
All right, but because it's been a hectic third period because these connection issues just popped up as of late because the video feed watching the TNT stream was buffering it sometimes, and that was not going well.
Yeah, it happens. I've been that way over the last couple months. We had all those storms, like I said, and along with the Sharks. I'm glad to be done with all that stuff. Glad to be joined by you guys, and we always have people in the bullpen to help. So get set to close it out for us, Alec. I'll be excited when we get to a Game 6, but admittedly in our post game, I'll have some different thoughts to share because this game probably went at least a little bit unexpected for me.
It was. We thought it was going to be the Oilers carrying on momentum. Well, the Panthers said, we're the champs for a reason, And now the Oilers have their backs against the wall again. They need to get and clean up the first period because they got out these very slow starts, and it's been plaguing them throughout the finals. This puck was denied entry, and the Panthers will be smothered off this puck, picked up on the far side, intended for Verhaeghe, who tried to flip it in. The Oilers all over this. Verhaeghe has it, though. Along the far half boards, intended for Barkov, who was pursuing him behind Pickard. Came out to the near side half-boards, and the Oilers get this one out. Fired back, where it's collected by the Oilers along the bench side. Pickard will pick it up. Wonder if Stuart Skinner's going to get back to crease for Game 6 of this series when the series shifts on Tuesday. Wallman back deep, and the Oilers will go from left to right. McDavid fire a long shot on Bobrovsky. He mishandled it, and he swept it away. Puck right over the wall, where it's be bouncing off the officials and grabbed by Edmonton. Pickard pulled towards the bench with 5 minutes to go. The Oilers needing another miracle, but it's going to come within 5 minutes now. Against this Panthers team, we don't imagine this happening in a 5-minute span. From the far corners, collected up by Edmonton. Quick shot and a rebound. Don't go. It bounced off the post. It'll be the near corner. I guess I owe the Oilers that one because I said that the same way in Game 3 against Vegas, and it bounced off the center post. So I bounced off the crossbar. Freed up towards Bouchard. Rink wide for Matthias Ekholm. 6-on-5 here for Edmonton. Along the far outdoors, puck bounced onto Lusterinen. Towards the far side, the Panthers trying to run this one out. Lusterinen. Towards the far boards, Marchand on hat-trick watch. Missed it wide. 4 minutes left. You gotta wonder if if the Oilers need a reverse comeback on Catella in 2017 where they were on the wrong end of it. Panthers backed up at their own zone, right behind the crease. The Oilers will grab it near corner. Towards the right point where it's Bouchard. Bouchard rink wide for Ekholm, or rather Kulak. Towards the far corner, sent towards the goal, kept out by Bobrovsky. At that far corner, McDavid wants to collect it up. It'll be behind the net for Draisaitl. McDavid got pointed up. Bouchard blows one out, blocked, and it'll be out. The Oilers will grab it along the Panther bench, and they're offside with 3:30.
We'll get set for another TVTL at some chances. This one tipped off of Nico Mikkola's stick. It almost was another own goal, and then goes off the right of the crossbar. That's how it stayed out.
Oh my! Imagine the closest of looks, and it went off of Mikkola's stick. That could have been the second time that happened to Mikkola, which is the puck bounced out with him for a goal. Well, I know the outcome might not matter much this time around, though, John.
No, it was completely different. Again, we'll talk about that admittedly in the post game. I'm just glad to have you back here to close this one out for us. I didn't mean to take up so much of your call, but you know what? This game was exciting as well. It was just a complete trap. I mean, this is the best game that I've seen the Panthers play, and I hate to bring it up again in between games 5 and game 7 at Scotiabank against Toronto, but it was that type of game. Close out the space, not humiliate as much for goals, but just make sure you got your 2-goal lead from the first and hold it and do so convincingly and muck things in the mud. Excellent job for Paul Maurice's squad.
He's one of the best coaches in the NHL for a reason, and we know that. Veteran experience among head coaches does matter a lot. It was a high-risk gamble when they hired him, but they need a change of scenery. Maurice wanted a change of scenery from his time at Winnipeg because he felt that his time was coming to an end. At that point, he lost his passion for the game at that point. But now in Florida, this has instantly brought back his passion for the game.
Yeah, and it's put him in that short end territory, talking about guys like Joe Quenneville and Scotty Bowman, and Paul Maurice is going to be on that same top end of some of the best coaches of all time. Because if he takes another one of these things here, I think he's already got that number 3 spot locked up.
You would think, if you remember, go back to 2002, he did take that Hurricanes team to the Stanley Cup final.
Mm-hmm. So Paul Maurice has been around the block for a long time. Again, as I mentioned, I didn't know this at the time when Scotty Bowman was the head coach, and around 95, who was part of the junior Red Wings? It was Paul Maurice.
So take that as you will with the experience you learned from the Red Wings back in those days of the organization. Both started to draw, but it was a long time coming for him with potentially two Stanley Cups to his resume. But again, the hardest game to win is always the 4th game.
We're going to go ahead and get another empty net. Pickard's gone.
Up the far side, Calvin Pickard leads. Puck control at the near side by Edmonds as they approach the Florida zone. Mishandled puck at the left point. The Oilers needing a reverse comeback on Catella. And this puck sent towards the net. One-timer. Score! There's one from Corey Perry.
How many more can they get? With 3:13 left in the third, you'd think the Cats can hold 2 as I was singing their praises. But here's an opportunity just kept in off of Draisaitl's blade, and it's going to reverberate around the end boards to Corey Perry after a giant rebound, who just takes the carom, honestly, Alec, and fires it right at the net. And it beats Bobrovsky clean. He never tracked it.
And even so, the way the Oilers kept the puck inside the zone was questionable at the first glance when Bouchard held the zone. And Perry just fired it straight from distance. Not the prettiest looking shot, but there's one. The Oilers need 2. But if the Ducks can pull a comeback on Catella when they were down 3 with 3 minutes left, anything can happen. But it's not 2017 up against an upstart Oilers team. This is the reigning champs the Oilers are up against. And this time the Oilers are trying to be the ones pulling off this comeback. Up the far side, Jones shoves McDavid, coughs it up, and is sent down the ice. Picked up at center ice, and a whistle. Where is it? It's playing with ice stick.
Yeah, so that means Pickard's going to have to come back. And what I was going to say, as far as the color side of it, who does Paul Maurice answer right back with? It's his third line. His shutdown pairing wants to make sure to keep it at least within 2. You don't want to start to sweat when it gets within 1. You got to close it down.
Of course, it's been the co-MVPs for the Panthers, Brad Marchand and Sam Bennett, that have shown up huge. Florida fires it out to the far corner. Edmonton must get started, and immediately. It is Lundell Bennett. 10th goal this postseason for Corey Perry, a career high for a single postseason that beats out any of his Ducks numbers. And impressive for a 40-year-old. Elite company with John Belliveau. Draisaitl, sharp angle, hit the outside the post. It is McDavid, who goes back for Bouchard. Across the ice, Kulak holds on. Send one towards the goal. Behind the net, Perry will free it up. Far corner, Draisaitl. Puck slowed down as Bouchard. Now punched it up toward the near side. Florida's trying to lift this one out. Bouchard knocked it down, but he's outside the zone. 2 minutes left, and Edmonton needs to go quickly. Off the backhand, we chip down deep. Bobrovsky slowing this one down. Play this towards the far boards for Ekblad. He'll send this one towards center ice. Bouchard, header this one. Near side for Draisaitl. He slows up. Bouncing puck. Collected by Luostarinen. And Florida gets it down again. Rolling puck. Icy with 1:39.
You got about 99 seconds left to go here as a bouncing puck. It was Forsling right there. McDavid trying to get an outstretched reach of a puck that jumps over his blade and Forsling's right leg. It missed it maybe by a fraction of an inch here. We'll see if one of these coaches is going to take a TO. I'm not trying to be funny. I mean this to be honest. Maybe the Oilers got to start Game 6 and act like they're down by 2 or 3 goals, because where's the desperation been up until now?
Yeah, this has been all Florida up until this very point where the Oilers are going to take control. Timeout called by Edmonton. And I know for a fact that McDavid speaking along for the bench. I know every coaching vacancy has been filled up. And interestingly, when we speak of the Stars coaching vacancy, it's just recent, but I know for Neil Graham being one of those names mentioned about the Stars coaching vacancy. If you want veterans, Peter Laviolette, Gerard Galapin right there. But if you want hotshot coaches, Mitch Love, and also a new name being popped up on the list. Former Flames head coach and one-time Stars head coach, currently the assistant of the Oilers, Glenn Gulletson.
If you want to try to do something completely different for the Dallas Stars, that might be the way to go. And I'm only saying that because it feels like they need a change in identity.
They have to. If you want to change of identity to one that's more cohesive with playoff hockey, because they were writing one that's more offensive-oriented and just threw defense out the window.
They sure did. 1:39 left to go in the third. It's an ozone draw with an extra attacker. Oilers still need 2. It's a 4-2 game, and we got to do this draw yet again.
How many false starts have we counted up in the finals? We haven't accounted for false starts. And if there are more false starts, of course, the fans are going to get impatient, Joe.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that. Now it's McDavid on the off wing. Draisaitl going to get set to take it against Lindell.
Of course, it's a matchup that the Oilers will want to. It's McDavid. He's on his off wing. Lindell. Tie up. Won by Edmonton. It'll be Bouchard. Bouchard waits, fires, catch, save, and a beauty. Bobrovsky. Along the far boards. Ekholm holds. It is collected to near side. Florida. They want to scoop this one up, but the Oilers all over that. Fire from inside. Bobrovsky out. He'll get back to the crease. The Panthers need to clear. He'll do so. Fire down the distance. And they score! Put this in the wraps. The Panthers will be 1 win away from their second straight Stanley Cup. Luostarinen with the dagger.
Thank you, E2. That's a long distance flip there from $150. And that was a big save by Bobrovsky. He had to swim in the goal crease. He just lofts this way over Bouchard and Draisaitl. They had 2 guys standing at the right side blue line out of position. And it's very fitting, that third line. You think about it, Luostarinen goal and assist, Brad Marchand, Lindell, Luostarinen now in the empty net. They have had their fingerprints all over this series as we knew they would.
Can the Florida Panthers recreate that one scene from Mean Girls where Katie splits up the crowd and gives it towards the crowd, and you can split the Conn Smythe Trophy and give it to Bennett, Marchand, and eventually the entire third line? How about that?
It seems that way. There's been so many unsung heroes, and Sergei Bobrovsky is going to be asking where his piece of it is too.
And we'll give a piece to him too, as he makes another huge save. He's been big in Game 5.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so hey, St. Louis for next season. Watch how the Florida Panthers cover during the empty net, and watch how they shoot it at the empty net to ice the game. Yes, I'm still salty.
We don't want a repeat of another Manitoba miracle.
56 seconds left, and Ian, I feel your pain on the side of it. We knew what would happen if anyone plays Florida, but I get your point. You're absolutely correct.
Defensive structure is what needs to be accounted for. And for the Florida Panthers, of course, all the coaching staff, all the props to them, all the power to them with all the structure they made. Not just Paul Maurice, but you think of the assistant coaches, Jamie Compon, Sylvain Lefebvre, Miles Speed, and former Carolina Hurricane Tomo Rutu, who knows Paul Maurice to an extent. He knows him on the staff, well, the pen, They're 21 seconds away. This team has worked onto the defensive identity that they're built upon. Best defense in the league, and they're built as such. Everyone surrounding Sergei Bobrovsky as we have some extracurriculars at center ice. We're not done here. And while the Panthers are one win away, with the seconds running down, they have to break them up with 5 seconds. Janmark and was getting testy with Gadjevich. Who knows if Gadjevich is going to recreate that moment from game 3 with that. Well, they're going to let the clock run out.
Yeah.
Well, and we're not done yet. Trent Frederick and AJ Greer are out of one another. And, John, at this point, the current question I have is Gadjevich going to recreate that moment of the and his tongue stick out?
He doesn't need to right now. Normally in a situation, if it wasn't this late in the series and it was game 1, game 2, I would say yes, he would. But right now, I like it. The refs just go ahead. They kill the rest of the clock in the 5 seconds. They want all these guys to get out of here healthy. No reason to get any extracurricular fights. All the fighting was done on the ice. It belongs to the Cats. They win 5-2.
And for those keeping track, this is a new NHL record for most road wins in a single postseason. The Panthers are 10-2 when being the visitors.
Nasty.
They're historically good in the playoffs.
That is
on the road.
utterly nasty, considering how many good teams we've had in the NHL. When you think about the Avalanche, you think about the Red Wings, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Chicago Blackhawks, and all of that, and you're telling me this team still 10-2? And don't tell me that they haven't rallied in behind Brad Marchand when he had that pucks being shot at him against that Dallas series with the fake rubber rats. They love that stuff.
If the Panthers do win the Stanley Cup, he and Bennett deserve a piece of the Conn Smythe Trophy. And save one for Sergei Bobrovsky. These 3 have been the big 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals appearance for the Panthers. Easily the best 3. And of course, if I'm Bill Zito, keep Marchand at all costs. He's a Panther lifer for the rest of his career.
And I think go ahead, Ian.
What I think what else we need to talk about is the fact that Marchand was a first line winger or center.
Yeah.
I forget which winger. So a first line winger for Boston for his entire career, and then goes to Florida, and the only place they can find to really put him is the third line. Well, that just goes to show you just how deep the Panthers are.
Yes. And I think it also, Alec, as you speak about too, because I'm going to get into some of my thoughts post-game. I promise I'll keep it brief. But as Ian mentioned, you put him on the third line, that's a direct replacement from the Tarasenko, everything else that they were trying to do last year. They already had shut down D. They just needed some goal scoring. He's perfect for that line.
And if I'm Bill Zito, we talk about the saga of Aaron Ekblad. They're not close on contract negotiations, but if he stays in Florida, good news. If he leaves, then of course there's the commotion about whether or not you're going to keep Sam Bennett. He's going to get a huge payday wherever he goes. But you can keep one or the other if all things considered. And if I'm Florida, if Ekblad goes but Bennett stays, then I'm not asking this out of fandom, but I'm asking this out of necessity for the Panthers. I'm calling Kyle Dubas and saying, what do you want for Erik Karlsson?
I think you might be onto something there because you might be able to get that for a little bit of a decent cap hit. And if I have to lean on it too, Alec, I will go with Bennett over Ekblad. Not to say that Ekblad hasn't done the job defensively on the blue line, and I'm not even going to say the word that he's replaceable because he's not. But Bennett is the heartbeat of what NHL Stanley Cup playoff hockey is. If you lose him, I think you're going to lose a lot, even with as good as the Panthers that they are.
That's true.
So let me ask you this. And again, I know some people will say that I'm a liar or I changed my mind. But now that it's a 3-2 series lead and the Panthers have won 5-2, I will still grant you that this series can go 7 games. But I will say that I've changed my mind on this. I'm no longer picking the Oilers. Yes, the Oilers in 6 predictions done, and that's what I had initially as my pick. I think the Panthers are winning. There's no way they're losing both of the next 2 games.
my Oilers in 7 prediction is alive. But either way, however it goes, please. I know the Panthers have controlled the first period throughout the series, but I beg of the Oilers to have a much better start in the first period. Go back to what you did in Game 2. Take notes from what you did there and go to Game 6 coming out fiery. You cannot be sluggish for another game because if you are, this series is wrapped up in Florida.
And I know we got a lot to talk about on Tuesday, and we will if we potentially get any cup ceremonies or if we go to Friday. But if we get to Tuesday and the Cats win again, this is just a preview. If we get there, we're talking about legacies on the line for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Yes, we know they're going to be first ballot Hall of Famers, but they need that Stanley Cup as far to cement everything else. If they don't win it this year, they're not going to win it in Edmonton.
If anything, if they were to win it in Edmonton, I feel it's going to be a wait as long as what Lionel Messi had with the Argentina national football team. It's going to take a while. Painfully long wait for them. But it might take the best core that Edmonton has ever assembled. But I'm not sure if Stan Bowman is cut out for the job. He did get something in Trent Frederick, and I think Frederick's going to be a must-keep. Connor Brown, I'm not sure if he's going to stay, but we got to wonder. I know there is no what-if when it comes to injuries, and I know for a fact that he may be out for a year, but if the Oilers do lose this series, then I am painfully wondering what happens if Zach Hyman did not get hurt in Game 4.
Yeah.
Do the Oilers still come out on top? Or is it the same thing?
Any final thoughts here, Ian, before I close up shop?
Well, so I'm thinking about this, right? We've never had a team three-peat, but we have had a team win 3 Stanley Cups in 6 years, albeit that dynasty has an incurable stain, but we still have to acknowledge the Chicago Blackhawks of the 2010s arguably had the greatest collective of talent in the league at that time. The thing is, McDavid and Draisaitl, I would argue, and I don't think it's that hot of a take, they are better than Kane and Taves. I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
As players, no. Yes, I agree.
As players. But here is where the Oilers are failing. The Blackhawks assembled Duncan Keith, Miriam Hossa, Patrick Sharp, among others. My dad's down here with us. They had 4 lines of just they look unstoppable no matter what lines were out there. And Edmonton just can't seem to find a way to have all 4 lines. I mean, yes, the Zach Hyman injury is big, but I would argue, if a Patrick Sharp went down during the playoffs for the Blackhawks, someone else would have easily stepped in, and there wouldn't have been a drop-off.
To your point, and Alec, I'll leave this to you as well to build, finish, and close. But Florida, they can deal with some of their injuries as well. And yet, to Ian's point, I think if Florida finds a way to win again, there might be a thought process in the back of my mind when you talk about the Chicago Blackhawks and their dynasty, that the Florida Panthers could absolutely be right there, and they might even have an opportunity to say that they could be better, which is scary.
Who knows?
So, gentlemen, I'm going to close this one out admittedly, and I will see you Tuesday. I'm thinking about, as long as I'm free, to go ahead and start with the NBA Finals on Monday and then mix that in. But I'll be here at least Tuesday and Friday for the Stanley Cup Finals. We're going to go to Game 6. We'll see if the Cats will finish it off in Sunrise or whether or not they're going to take Friday. But they're in the driver's seat now because that was a dominating game for them.
Absolutely.
See you then, everyone.
Take care, boys.
See you then, fellas.